So yeah, we are basically at a location today. Thanks for joining. Hopefully my signal is going to be a good one today. So we're at a very disturbing entrance this morning and basically showing the reality of an industry that goes far, far beneath what we realize what's going on. And this industry is one of the biggest industries, not only just in the UK, but all around the world. And I'm just going to prop that up for the moment so you can see in the background that this is the entrance to a family theme park. I'm just going to check that this YouTube live is going okay at the moment. Signal is so patchy, but hopefully we're good. Cool. So, this is the entrance to Paultons Park, a family theme park, and what we have to the left here is a chicken hatchery. So literally this is where all the chicks go through to be transported to other farms. You have interest to a kids theme park. Really disturbing. So what we're going to be doing today is showing exactly what happens inside, or hopefully the outside, of a chicken hatchery. Now the chicken hatchery industry, they basically will breed chickens and breed eggs to be laid at 30 times the rate of a natural rate, and chickens will be bred for two specific purposes: one for breeding egg-laying hens to produce more eggs, and the other reason will be to basically for the meat industry to produce broiler chickens. So depending on what the facility is inside, will depend on basically the structure of how the operations will work. So if it's for broiler chickens, they don't matter what sex of the eggs are. It will basically take those chickens, they'll ship them off the farm, and then in 6 weeks they'll be sent to a slaughterhouse. And now if they're doing it purely for egg-laying hens to produce for the egg industry, then the male chicks will be of no use to this industry. So the male chicks will be separated pretty much within 24 hours of macerator. And this place has just already been open for a couple of hours. Let me just check if the signal's good. Quality's not great, but apologies for that. We're doing the best we can. So, yeah, we've got the gates to this hatchery where all the deliveries will come in. And we're hoping to obviously maybe have some interactions with some of the trucks coming in today, hoping to see what is exactly going on at this place. And if I take you back to the front, we can see exactly the company responsible for this. So a lot of people will come to Paultons Park. It's a family-friendly kids theme park. A lot of people go there for Peppa Pig World. But what people don't realise is this. So Avara Foods, one of the largest production companies, manufacturers of the chicken industry here in the UK. Back on now. Okay. Apologies for internet as always pretty shit. So, yeah, you can see the facility behind now. I think probably me moving around is not helping this. So yeah, as I said, this is Paultons Park, family kid park, theme park where, you know, families and young children will go. And here we have a hatchery that kills baby chickens on a daily basis. This is where the egg industry lies, and it is very, very hidden away. The industry doesn't want us to know about this place, hence they haven't even updated the location on Google Maps. So this is where the trucks will come in and basically transport the baby chicks to different farms throughout the country. And in this facility, so they are breeding chickens. These chickens that are bred to produce up to 30 times the amount of the natural life or the natural egg production of these chickens. And if they're males, they are likely to be culled, they're killed, they are gassed to death, they are sent to macerators. And yeah, basically, we don't know specifically if they're breeding them for broiler chickens for the meat industry, or if they're breeding chickens for the egg laying industry to produce more eggs. So this place is, yeah, as I said, it's very hidden away, and we're just checking to see kind of what the vibe is at the moment. This is, you know, we haven't been here before, but it's good to see exactly what's going on. Maybe on a Saturday it would be even busier with all the cars going in behind, going to Paultons Park. So yeah, it's a very interesting place. We've had one car go in so far. They had to jet wash their whole car down to cleanse it. I imagine there's a lot of disease and disgusting things going on inside these facilities. So they've got to make sure that, you know, their hygiene and standards are up to scratch, because otherwise they'll be carrying diseases around and getting, you know, passing things on to others. And in these situations, it's, yeah, I can't imagine what's going on inside of those sheds. And also what happens in these facilities as well. So when the baby chicks hatch, they're in artificial incubators. So they'll also basically, they will trim their beaks, and they'll burn them off, they'll carve them off. And this is to make sure that they don't, you know, maybe for injuring themselves, but mainly for cannibalism. So there's videos showing that because of these horrendous conditions, that often cannibalism does happen. So they trim beaks to try and prevent injuries to the other chickens. And a couple of facts as well. So 45 million male chicks are killed every year in the UK, and 1 billion chickens in the UK for the meat industry. There's a car coming in now, just gotta move over.
Because slaughterhouses get used to us being outside the front of these places, but hatcheries and places like this.
So these hens as well, these hens are basically killed between 1 to 2 years old. Let's put the Paultons Park in the background. There we go. So yeah, because of the strain that these chickens have, they will basically, because they're meant to produce up to 30 times more eggs than the natural, what they would do in the wild. You know, chickens should produce 10 to 15 eggs a year. They're producing 300 eggs every single year. And because of this relentless egg production, the strain on their bodies causes them to suffer a variety of health conditions, fractures and things like that, and eventually they are then killed between 1 to 2 years old because they're no longer commercially viable. And yeah, I guess the other element to this is, so once the chicks hatch and they grow up, they are, I say grow up, they have a window usually within 72 hours that they are then dispatched to other farms. And some of these journeys can be, you know, 1, 2, maybe even 3 days, depending where they're being transported to. And the fact of, you know, on these journeys, these chickens will have no food, no water, and an awful, awful conditions to be in. And the fact is, we don't need to pay for any of this. You know, we don't have to support these industries, whether it's the meat industry paying for these broiler chickens to be bred, or whether it's for paying for eggs and for your own appetite. We don't need to pay for, essentially, we're paying for chickens to produce 30 times more eggs than they would do naturally. You don't need to pay for male chicks to be killed. You don't need to pay for, you know, them to be gassed to death or put into a macerator. You don't need to pay for them to be transported for over 3 days without any food and water, to be then sent to a farm, where for the meat industry, they are killed at 6 weeks old. 42 days old, they're killed. And these are babies, these are baby chickens that we don't have to pay for. So again, there's another car that's just gone in. So yeah, here we have security, and yeah, so they're having to wash down all of their cars, all the contamination, all the disease risk that's going on in this place. I mean, you can see how many warning signs are around. On the left, they've got, you know, all the hygiene station. They've got probably the anti-bac gels, blue gloves, all of this, yeah, and trying to stop the risk of contamination. Just shows what sort of facilities these places are, what goes on in these places. And yeah, so opposite this place is Paultons Park. Welcome to Paultons Park. A fun family day out for the kids with Peppa Pig World. Opposite a place that slaughters baby animals. So if you go onto YouTube, you can actually see an Animal Justice Project's investigation that shows you exactly what goes on inside these hatcheries. You can see exactly what goes on from the incubation, the artificial incubation. You can see what goes on with the transportation of these animals, and also the way that these poor very young chickens are kept inside the facilities. So is that van coming in? Everyone's all very curious. They've clearly never had activists here before, so we're trying to sort of catch them off guard today. So yeah, so this is basically this is listed as Fassenda Foods, but actually this was bought by Avara Foods, this hatchery, and it's not listed online. They've tried to keep it very secretive, so only with, you know, people finding out these places can we therefore go and expose them. And that's what we're here to do today, and we want to see exactly what's going on inside these facilities, which the public don't know about, many activists don't know about, and we need to expose exactly what's going on and happening. So yeah, we're yet to see, I mean, we've only been here for a few minutes, but we're yet to see any sort of big trucks come in yet, or in transportation trucks come in yet. But we will be, yeah, very intrigued to see how they respond to activists like us, see if they'll ask us any questions or answer any questions. And we're wanting to understand, you know, what is going on specifically inside this facility. We know that hatcheries are there to either breed egg-laying hens to produce eggs for the egg industry and to produce eggs. But we also know that hatcheries are there to produce chickens for the meat industry, so broiler chickens, which they won't care about the sex of those chickens. They won't care if they're male or female. They'll be sent to slaughter at 6 weeks old, 42 days old. They'll be put onto trucks to go inside of a gas chamber. So we will want to understand what specific goes on in this facility, and we know it could be either or both. The site is very, very large. Potentially they have different departments for the different animals. You know, they might have a section for egg-laying hens and the eggs versus produced for broiler chickens and the meat industry. And that's what we're trying to find out today, as well as showing the public exactly what your money is going towards, and also just showing the disturbing situation of the fact that within 100 yards we've got the entrance of Paultons Park, a family fun theme park day out for your kids. They're going to see Peppa Pig World. You know, they love Peppa Pig on the TV, but what they don't realise is that facilities literally next door to them are sending baby animals to gas chambers, the same way that Peppa Pig and other, you know, animals in this industry are gassed to death as well. I'm pretty sure if children knew that the characters that they're seeing in Paultons Park, if they knew that Peppa Pig was being sent to a gas chamber at 6 months old, how would they feel? How would those young kids who grow up to love Peppa Pig feel that the bacon, the ham, whatever the food that they're eating has been gassed to death? How would they feel about that? And I'm pretty sure the parents would not want to associate these two places together. And that's how these industries thrive. So you realize the meat industry will never go away, right? And you know, to that point, like this is all an industry built on supply and demand. These industries wouldn't exist if people aren't paying their money towards them. These industries wouldn't survive. They're already being heavily subsidized, bear in mind, by the government, heavily subsidized in the meat and dairy industry. Farmers are already on the sort of the profit line. So if they're, and that's being subsidized and held up by the government, the more and more people that realize the reality of what happens to these animals, the demand goes down and therefore the supply has to go down. How would they feel about not having a bacon sandwich? I mean, if these young children seeing Peppa Pig saw what Peppa Pig was going to have to actually happen to Peppa Pig, if they had seen that this, you know, this character they love was being transported on a truck and going to be lowered into a CO2 gas chamber where they scream and they scream and they burn from their insides, their eyes burn, their lungs burn, and ultimately suffocate to death, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't want to eat bacon. And also, you can have vegan bacon, you can have plant-based bacon, you can still have those same tasting products without sending animals to gas chambers. So why would you want to intentionally pay these animals to be sent to a gas chamber when they don't need to? Okay, how do I stop my cat killing birds? That has nothing to do with what we're talking about today. What we're talking about today is the birds being killed, but not by cats naturally in the wild. We're talking about birds being killed because of human greed, human supply and demand. We're talking about humans paying for eggs and paying for chicken products, paying for babies to be killed into gas chambers and into macerators as their babies. So, oh no, you didn't said, what do you feel about lab-produced meats? So, obviously, lab-produced meats has a great intention of obviously wanting to, in theory, shift away from animal agriculture to produce the same products of texture and taste of, you know, meats, producing a lab-grown meat. The issue with that is obviously that requires a hell of a lot of investment, spending, and research to try and get to a place that is trying to, you know, grow meat from a lab. But the fact is we don't need any of that. We already have whole food plant-based diets, whole foods that are cheap, affordable, nutritious and healthy. And we also have plant-based alternatives. We have, you know, vegan chicken, vegan sausages, vegan burgers. We already have these products. All that investment could be supporting other elements of this industrial situation. So, you know, instead of investing in lab-grown meats, which may support, you could invest that same money in helping farmers transition to growing crops. Because again, as I mentioned, like this industry is already heavily subsidized by the government to prop up the meat and dairy industry. Why not use that money to, you know, help them transition away from farming animals to farming crops? Because we already have the alternative products. They already exist. They've already got companies doing them. We don't need lab-grown meat. But that's my personal opinion. I don't know if anyone feels any differently on the chat, but obviously anything that's going to stop animals from being sent into gas chambers is a good thing, and we'd support that. But we've got to work out, you know, what's most effective, and, you know, if people aren't buying vegan alternative products already, what's to say that they'll actually support the lab-grown meats? Are they not going to look the same, taste the same? Like we have Juicy Marbles here in the UK. We've got Planted as a brand of products. They already have these very, very like-for-like products that look the same, taste the same. Even the texture is so realistic. If anyone's tried the Juicy Marbles steak, it almost looks like it has blood inside. It's the most realistic thing I've ever seen. So, you know, what is lab-grown meat going to do that isn't already being done? Yeah, interesting comment, Adam. So all for lab-grown meat if it replaces animal agriculture, but wouldn't eat it myself, as very happy with my health. Yeah, exactly. That's, yeah, I mean, completely agree. Like, if it's going to stop animals being sent to slaughter, 100% agree with it. But we already have solutions in place. Let's put that money elsewhere into actually transitioning and helping the cause in a different direction. Let's help farmers transition away from farming animals into farming plants. Let's help put that money into investment that's actually going to educate the public on health. educate the public on awareness of what happens to animals. Yeah, there's lots of things that could be done with that. Hey, David. So Jariel has said, question, what if we don't eat these animals, what happens to their population? So as I said, this industry is all supply and demand. So we slaughtered about 92 billion land animals every year in the world, 92 billion land animals. And this is because they are bred and enslaved in farms. They're breeding animals to satisfy the demand that people are purchasing. So if we stop buying these products, if the demand reduces, these animals won't be bred into existence. We won't be breeding 92 billion land animals because it wouldn't be financially viable for the farmers to do so. Those animal populations will decline and decline and decline. So we're never going to be in a situation of suddenly we've got billions of animals going wild because no one's paying for them. They just won't be bred into existence. And remember that these animals are sent to slaughter as babies. If they're chickens, they're 6 weeks old. If they're pigs and lambs, they're 6 months old. If they're cows, they're a year old, 2 years old. If they're dairy cows, between 3 and 5 years old. If they're egg-laying hens, they're 1 to 2 years old. So we're not going to be in a situations where loads of animals are suddenly running wild. And also, like, these animals aren't just going to die out. Like, we didn't invent these animals. We didn't invent them. So, you know, we have situations where, you know, wild cows exist, we have wild horses, you know, we can help restore them to nature. But yeah, the unfortunate situation is because we've commodified them and genetically bred them, that now they grow, for example, broiler chickens, they're bred to grow as big as possible in a short space of time. So letting them grow out old is actually going to now cause health implications for them because of what we've done over time to these animals. But animals can live in sanctuaries. You know, a lot of farms have actually transitioned into, you know, breeding these animals to send to slaughter to actually producing crops and restoring their farm as a sanctuary where these animals can live out their lives with health and with support. Hi, Winston. Good to see you again. So we're basically outside of the entrance of Paultons Park, home of Peppa Pig World. But right next door, we've got a chicken hatchery. So this is where the chickens are, their egg-laying hens are genetically bred to produce up to 300 eggs per year, 30 times their natural, what they would do in nature. They should be producing about 10 to 15, yet here in the egg-laying industry, they're producing 300 eggs per year. When they produce these eggs, it's for people buying eggs. It's for the egg industry, but also it's for the meat industry. And that's one of the reasons we're here today. We're trying to work out and just understand a little bit better this specific facility. Activists, I don't believe, have ever been here before, and we're wanting to understand, you know, are they producing eggs for the meat industry? Because if so, they won't care what the sex is, whether they're male or female chicks. They will breed them, they will transport them off to a farm, and then they'll be sent to a slaughterhouse at about 6 weeks old. But if they're producing it purely for the egg industry, then they will basically, if they are male chicks that are, if they're male chicks that hatch, they will be separated within 24 hours. And those male chicks will then be sent into a macerator, like a big blender, and they'll be killed. Or they'll be sent into gas chambers, they will be gassed to death. And this is because the male chicks don't lay eggs, they are no use to the egg industry, and they're discarded as a waste product. So yeah, these hatcheries, these chicken hatcheries, which people don't know about, you know, they're not advertised, they're not like other farms that you may see around. Like, this is specific facilities there to breed animals, specific facilities that are there to genetically breed them to produce far more eggs than they should, and then transport these the chickens once they've hatched into other farms. And bear in mind, the journeys of these chickens going to farms can be up to 72 hours. 72 hours where you're cramped on a truck with no food and water, and then ultimately sent to a farm where 5-6 weeks later you're sent to a gas chamber. So Nando said, are you a vegetarian? No, I'm vegan. and there's a big difference between vegan and vegetarian. You know, vegetarians still support these industries. Vegetarians still support the egg industry. Vegetarians also support the dairy industry. And these animals in these industries are sent to be killed. You know, the reason that people are vegetarians is maybe they don't want to, you know, they don't want to be killing animals. Maybe they're using byproducts, but actually these animals are not byproducts. They are co-products. They are part of the industry. If you're buying eggs, you're sending male chicks to be killed and egg-laying hens to be killed. And if you're purchasing dairy, you're sending cows to slaughterhouses between 3 and 5 years old after forcible impregnation, having their babies stolen from them, and ultimately going to be killed. So yeah, there's a crucial difference between vegan and vegetarian. You know, veganism is a principle as well. Veganism is not a diet. Veganism is a principle that we shouldn't harm animals. We shouldn't exploit them. Part of that is diet, that we would not consume any animal products. But in the same way, we wouldn't wear any animal's fur. We wouldn't go to support entertainments like horse racing or greyhound racing. And we wouldn't support things like animal testing. So veganism is this umbrella principle that we shouldn't exploit animals, because animals have rights. Animals deserve to live just like us. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, David's in the chat, the 40-year-old vegan. So yeah, David, an ex-slaughterhouse inspector, has seen firsthand exactly what goes on in these facilities. And most likely those things that he has seen will stay with him for life and scar him in an awful way. And we must always consider as well the human violations that are going on in these industries. You know, if you're a worker inside a slaughterhouse, you are doing unimaginable things to these animals. It is disgusting. And having to witness that, having to witness all the blood, the murder, the diseases, this is a human's violation as well as an animal's violation. These industries shouldn't exist for so many reasons, but there's always victims in these industries. If we're exploiting others, we're exploiting animals, the animals are victims, there's also humans that are victims. So Jariel said, you wear vegan shoes and clothing? Yeah, 100%. So yeah, all my shoes, all my clothes are all 100% vegan. And we know that we don't have to purchase leather. We know we don't have to wear fur, because it's cruel, it's unkind, and we don't need it. So Jerry says, animals serve our needs. So this is the dangerous mindset that animals are not here for us. Animals are on this planet. We are animals. We as humans are animals. We're here all on this planet together. Why would we have to exploit them when we don't need to? We can live in harmony with them, couldn't we? Unless why would you intentionally want to cause harm, suffering, pain to an animal? Why would you want to do that? So yeah, another comment from Gerald saying, what about the medicines we get from animals? So I'm assuming you're talking about animal testing, animal experiments? Because yeah, I can speak about that, animal experiments, animal testing. So 92% of testing that happens on animals fails in human clinical trials. It is the most unreliable and ineffective method of trying to produce human-related solutions. Why on earth would we test on other species to try and find solutions for ourselves? And the way I'd always try and get you to picture this is, we as humans, we like chocolate, we consume chocolate. You give chocolate to a dog, that is toxic to them, that can kill them. Yet we're testing on dogs to try and give us human solutions. The same with mice, we're testing on a lot of mice. Mice can't vomit, they don't have the same reactive systems that we do. Cats as well, cats are allergic to paracetamol. Guinea pigs are allergic to penicillin. So all of these things that we're testing on other species, they just aren't relatable for humans. And the good thing about this, though, is that we have human-related alternatives. We have human-related solutions. We have things like organ on a chip. So where we can produce things like a lung, they get lung cells and they put them into a chip that replicates the human functions. And we can do testing on these chips. Yeah, thanks, Dave, for putting those Please do check the links in the chat that David, the 40-year-old vegan, has just put. There's two really good documentaries, one called Dominion, and the other one, if you don't have time, the most recent one in the chat is the 3-minute movie. If you can take time to just go and watch a 3-minute movie, you can see exactly what happens to animals, exactly why many of us are vegan today, and it will change your life. It will change your life. And those links should also be in this video description. There'll be a link to the 3-minute movie challenge in the description. And on my link tree, you can see a whole host of documentaries and resources that you can watch. There's also things like Challenge 22. So, you know, if you're wanting to be vegan and you're trying to work out, oh, I don't know, I might need some help, I need some support. Challenge 22 is a brilliant way to get that support. And yeah, you can, it's completely free, you get like an online mentorship, and you can basically, yeah, get the support that you need completely for free. So yeah, try Challenge 22 out. So the main question is though, if you're on this live stream watching, like, what is your reason for not being vegan? Now, a lot of people might not have ever, you know, stumbled across a live stream of someone being vegan. Some people may have. But the question is once you know what happens to animals, what is actually then stopping you from saying, okay, I agree with the fact that we shouldn't exploit them, I'm going to change my behaviors? Because that seems like a logical process then. That seems like the logical thing to do. If you go and watch, you know, the 3-minute movie, if you go and watch Dominion and you see the horror that happens to these animals, what excuse therefore is there to not be vegan? What excuse is there to actually pay for these industries to exist? What excuse is there to pay for baby chicks to be killed? And that's obviously what we're trying to do today. We've also got, if I flip the camera around, so we've got Mel and Steve as well. They are streaming at the moment. Please do check out their channel. It's Mel and Steve. They're, you know, brilliant activists, also live streaming right now. And what you can do is, yeah, go and join their live stream if you want. Go and subscribe to their channel. Go and watch their videos. You know, they've done a lot similar to myself. We do a lot of live streams, investigation, street outreach. So, yeah, go and check out Mel and Steve stream as well. That's a tongue twister. Yeah, thanks, David. So yeah, there's the link again in the chat, 3minutes.wtf. Like, click that link, go and watch the movie. If you've got 3 minutes to spare, you know, you're already watching a live stream, go and check out what's going on. Go and check it out. So comment here, so Plug said, animals die brutally in the wild. Yep, they do. But that has no relevance to what we're talking about today. Animals die brutally in the wild, yes. Because of human exploitation, no. Animals die brutally in this country and all around the world because of humans. They die brutally in slaughterhouses. Animals die brutally when they are bolt gunned to the head and having their throat sliced while still conscious. Animals die brutally from being sent into gas chambers at 6 months old, lowered into CO2 gas where they burn from their insides. Their eyes burn, their lungs burn. Animals die brutally at the hands of humans. And ultimately, it's not just the people, you know, pulling the trigger or slicing the throats. It's not ultimately their responsibility. It's the responsibility of us as individuals, because it's our choices that are fueling these industries. It's our choices that where we're spending our money on that's propping these industries up. Of course, the industry has a part to play. Of course, the government have a part to play. The government, you know, subsidize the meat and dairy industry. But the fact is, we have individual accountability. We, with our money, choose what we vote for with that money. We, with our money, would choose to buy a vegan product or an animal product. And that's what side of the fence do you stand on? Do you stand on the side that you want to support animals and help them and be kind to them? Or do you stand on the side where you want to send them into a gas chamber? Cool, so yeah, hi for anyone that's just joined the chat. So, just trying to pick out some comments. So Mark said, have you always been vegan? No, and this is a thing that I think we all need to remember is we weren't all vegan from birth as much as we would like to have been. But we're conditioned in society, you know, we're conditioned with upbringings, with marketing, with industries, we're conditioned to consume animal products. And until that's challenged and questioned, like what I'm doing today or like watching a documentary, that's when you make a switch. That's when you realize, oh my God, I didn't realize any of this was happening. I don't want to be a part of this industry anymore. And that's when you stop. So that's why, you know, I've been vegan for about 5 years. But before that, I used to eat meat. I used to support these industries. But out of, you know, ignorance, not knowing, and it was after watching a documentary that actually changed my life, a documentary called Earthlings. So you can watch Earthlings, you can watch Dominion, and you can watch The Land of Hope and Glory. And you can watch the 3-minute movie challenge. The link is in my description. If you've got 3 minutes, go and watch that documentary, because it's that footage that turned me vegan. It's that footage that took this hidden veil across and showed me exactly what happens to these animals, realizing that we don't need to support these industries. We don't need to pay for animals to be killed for food, for clothing, for entertainment. And you can actually live in alignment with your values. You know, I was always an animal lover, but unintentionally I was paying for animals to be killed. How does that make sense? So that is, you know, one thing to remember, like us vegans weren't all vegans throughout our lives, and it shows you that we all have the power, the capability to change and to actually be more compassionate people. Right, apologies, there's been lots of comments I've just dropped to the bottom of the chat. Yeah, that's... Let me just put a quick poll in the chat, or a Q&A rather. Right, so hopefully I'll be able to see some questions a bit better. You know, obviously on these comments and chats, it's quite difficult seeing, you know, everything that's coming through. Thanks, Lynn. So Plug said, you are, especially for a man, a serious minority. Most people eat meat. I mean, obviously that statement is factually correct in that, yeah, most people... Oh, okay, there's a truck coming out. So I'll flip the camera around and you can see exactly what's going on. So yeah, this could be transporting chickens. So truck's coming out right now. We don't know what's in it. He's not going to stop. So these could be refrigeration trucks. They could have dead bodies inside. So yeah, we don't know exactly what's in these trucks, and this is difference with. So I'll answer that question in a minute of what is the benefit of being vegan. But yeah, what the difference is with this place is that when you're outside a slaughterhouse, the animals are often in big open slats, and you can see the animals being transported. In these places, because there's a lot of obviously these chicks are 48 hours old when they're being transported away. They have a lot more security, and if they're baby chicks as well, they're often transported away on refrigeration trucks. So I'm just gonna put my bag down, and yeah, they're on transportation trucks that yeah, a lot more enclosed, so it's a lot harder to see exactly what's going on. And yeah, so going back to the question of what is the benefit of being vegan. So the main benefit of being vegan, hopefully you can still hear me, the main benefit of being vegan is that you're actually living in alignment with your morals. You're not a hypocrite because you're aligning your morals with your actions. The benefit of being vegan is that you're no longer supporting animals being sent to slaughterhouses. You're no longer supporting animals to be killed with your money, the blood money. That's brilliant. So if you look at the 40-year-old vegan's recent comment in the chat, I should have linked that in my description. There's undercover footage of chicks in a hatchery in just 3 minutes long. So please check out the 40-year-old vegan's latest link in there, and it will show you exactly what happens inside these facilities. So yeah, comment there, you eat veggies. Yeah, I eat veggies, fruits, whole foods, legumes, beans, you know, a whole food plant-based diet, and occasionally have things like vegan chicken, vegan burgers, because you don't have to give up anything. You don't have to give up your meals. You don't have to give up your taste. You can have the same meals that you had before. You can still get the same taste, and often it is cheaper as well. And yeah, there are vegan options. I saw a comment about KFC, and it's probably a troll comment. However, KFC, McDonald's, they have vegan burgers, vegan equivalents. So, you know, if that's where you go already, you can just choose something else off the menu. You can make a compassionate choice. No, folks said, do you hunt? I don't know if that's a stupid question. Maybe you've only just joined the screen, but no, I do not hunt. We should not be hunting animals. We should not be killing them in their natural habitats. It is cruel, it's unkind, you don't need to do it. So Hanif said, but eggs and cheese are okay because no animals are slaughtered for cheese. So this is incorrect. Animals are slaughtered for cheese. And this is what the industries don't tell you. This is the dairy industry. Dairy cows are forcibly impregnated, their babies are stolen from them, their milk is stolen from them, and then these dairy cows are sent to be killed. These dairy cows are bolt gunned to the head and have their throats sliced about 3 to 5 years old because their dairy production declines. And this is all because of milk and cheese and eggs. Animals are killed in these industries because of the products we purchase. People think, as I said earlier, people think that eggs and milk are a byproduct. They're not, they're a co-product. Someone's put eggs are great for you. Eggs are, you know, nutritionally speaking, eggs are full of cholesterol, saturated fats. You don't need eggs. You don't need to eat basically an unfertilized fetus. You don't need to, I mean, yeah, here's the phrase, chicken period. You don't need to eat a chicken's period. Does that not make you feel disgusting that you're eating a chicken's period? Yeah, again, so the 40-year-old vegans just put a link to Dairy is Scary. And so for the person that commented about cheese, that shows you exactly what happens in these industries. And as well in the cheese industry, specific difference to the, a different way that obviously the cheese is produced compared to milk is that cheese actually causes the male cows to be killed, and they extract an enzyme from the baby male cow, an enzyme called rennet, and this is basically used as a coagulating agent that's there to produce the cheese. And so by purchasing cheese, you're paying for baby male cows to be killed, and also the female mothers to be killed at slaughter once their milk production declines at about 3 to 5 years old. Potentially another truck coming in. Chicken delicious period. So you like eating chicken's periods? That's pretty disgusting. How many animals die for the sake of the avocado? Oh, there's a truck coming in. Watch out, there's a truck coming in. So this is another transportation truck coming in. Obviously this is just a standard looking truck. We don't have any branding. We don't know what is actually going to be included on these vehicles. Right ways. So yeah, we're going to be looking at basically what these companies are and where they might be taking the animals, what they might be taking on the trucks as well. You know, sometimes they're obviously the animals being transported to farms. As I said earlier, it's these journeys that the animals can take, you know, up to 72 hours. These chicks are transported farms all around the countries. 72 hours without food, without water, and once they arrive at the farms, 5 and 6 weeks later, they are then taken to a slaughterhouse to be gassed to death. So let me just put a poll in the chat and see how you feel about this. And let's just see what the consensus is on this. Because again, like these industries have a common theme of making you so disconnected from the realities of what's going on. You're so disconnected from the products that you're consuming and what they actually are. So the poll I put in the chat is chickens, period, disgusting to eat? These are eggs. You're eating chickens, period, unfertilized eggs, essentially. These eggs that are full of, cholesterol, saturated fats, it's just not necessary at all. So, but does that not weird you out? I'll be curious in the comments, is this the first time someone's ever referred to as eggs as, chickens, periods? Because I'll be quite intrigued to see what that is. So I've got 21 votes in at the moment, and is chickens, period, disgusting to eat? 60-40 majority. There's another truck coming down. Cholesterol is actually good for humans. So there's different types of cholesterol. There's essentially your good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. Let me just turn this around. We don't know where this one's going. And they're going maybe to a different facility. Okay. So at the moment, almost 70% of people don't think it's disgusting to eat a chicken's, period. That's disgusting. That's kind of grim. Any spam comments will be timed out, by the way. So whoever's posting loads of numbers, you're just going to get timed out. See you later. Right. Cool. Yeah, I'll close the poll then. So, wow. So, I mean, but that's interesting that 32% of people do find that chickens, periods, are disgusting to eat. So 32% of the people in this live stream right now think that it is disgusting. So, of those that have said, yes, it's disgusting, would you now go and eat an egg? Would you now go and eat a chicken's, period? Or has that made you think, oh my God, that's disgusting, we don't need to do that, and plus we don't need to send animals to be gassed to death, macerated to death? Someone's put, you can kill a chicken pretty easy too. I mean, what point has that comment got? You can kill a chicken pretty easily. You can kill a human pretty easily. You can kill anything pretty easily. But what on earth has that got to do with anything? What on earth has that got to do with anything? Just because it's easy, does that make it moral? Does that make it right to do? Yeah, Dosebert, you will think about it next time you eat a period. Yeah, 100%. Next time you see an egg on a plate, hopefully not your plate, hopefully someone else's plate, and you look at that and you think, that is literally a chicken's, period. That is literally a chicken's, period. It's disgusting. You don't need to be eating that. And plus, and again, once I said before, we've got all these amazing alternatives. We've got delicious egg replacements that you can consume, whether in the US, the UK. There's companies like Just Egg. There's companies called Cracked. That literally are pretty much ready to make vegan eggs. But also you can make them even healthier by making it out of tofu. You can make a tofu scramble. Tofu, it's a complete protein source, all your essential amino acids, but it has the same texture. You can mix it with things like nutritional yeast, and you can give it that exact same texture as like an animal scramble. So why would you not want to do that? Knowing that you can still have the same eggs, the same food, why would you then not want to choose the option that doesn't pay for animals to be sent to gas chambers? So, what's going on with the screen here? So yeah, any comments in the chat, please do put them through. I've just skipped back to the bottom. I'm trying to answer as many comments as I possibly can, but obviously it's hard to get through all of them. And obviously I'm here to educate and to show you the realities of all the various industries of animal agriculture. Specifically today, obviously we're at the chicken hatchery. And this is to expose exactly what happens in the egg industry, which people don't know about. People unknowingly paying for baby chicks to be essentially sent to, if they're males, as I said, if they're no use to the egg industry. If they're male chicks, they are separated within 24 to 48 hours. The male chicks are then, the industry called culled, but they are killed. They are sent into gas chambers to be gassed to death, or into a big macerator like a blender. And that's because male chicks don't produce eggs. They are no use to the egg industry. And remember, these egg-laying hens, these produce up to 300 eggs per year. Naturally, they should be producing 10 to 15 eggs. So they're producing 30 times their natural capacity of producing eggs. And because of this, these chickens are then basically having all these health conditions and issues with them, that their bodies have so much strain to produce all these eggs. They end up with fractures and diseases, and ultimately sent to slaughter at about 1 to 2 years old. And this is all because people purchase eggs, an industry that vegetarians are still supporting. And also, so this hatchery, as I said, we're trying to work out exactly the specifics in this hatchery. So hatcheries are for two purposes: for the egg industry that I've just mentioned, but also for breeding chickens for the egg industry, so known as broiler chickens. And these chickens will not matter if they're male or female. These chickens will be sent off to farms all around the country, often on journeys that are 72 hours long. No food, no water, cramped conditions. And these chickens as well, they get their beaks burnt off, their beaks trimmed, because they're trying to prevent, chickens pecking one another. They're trying to prevent cannibalism, because the conditions are so horrendous in there. And so once these chickens reach those farms after potentially a 3-day journey, they will then grow for only another 5 to 6 weeks, and then they are sent to a slaughterhouse. These chickens are 42 days old. 42 days old, and they are transported in these huge trucks, these big, usually yellow crates, where there, thousands of them are packed into these trucks. And here's an interesting thing which I didn't used to know about, but when animals go, into slaughterhouses, often they count how many animals are on a truck. When chickens get transported into slaughterhouses, they don't do it by number. The animals aren't even subjected to, they're not an individual. They don't even have a number. They're subjected to a group weight. So these trucks will go into these huge weighing platforms, and they will just measure the weight of the truck going in. They will then take all of the crates off, keeping the chicks in the crates. They then lower those crates into these CO2 gas chambers to kill the chickens. And then when the truck comes back out, it'll go back onto that same weighing platform. And that's how they work out how many chickens are killed. They're not even subjected to being called a number, let alone a name. And if anyone's ever rescued chickens or have chickens at home, you know that every single chicken is an individual. Every single chicken has a personality. And you could give those chickens names, and every chicken, reacts differently to one another. You have, like humans, you have confident chickens, you have shy chickens, you have chickens that have preferences of food choices. But all of this is absolutely stripped from all of them because of these facilities, the hatcheries that breed the chickens into existence, to separate the male chicks and kill them if it's the egg industry. They transport these chickens to slaughterhouses, and they are killed at 6 weeks old for the meat industry. And for the egg laying hens that are in these facilities producing, the 300 eggs a year, they're often killed between 1 and 2 years old because, as I said, the strain on their bodies, the fractures, the diseases, and their egg production declines because of the relentless egg laying that they're doing. And just to remind you all, so I'm outside, if you can see here, this is the entrance to Paultons Park. This is a family-friendly theme park. This is the entrance where all the cars will be going in to the theme park. Tomorrow it'll be a Saturday, it'll be very busy. But the fact is that this entrance to a family-friendly kids park, where this is home to Peppa Pig World, Peppa Pig that all the kids, love and enjoy watching the character of Peppa Pig and Friends on TV, is directly opposite, within 100 yards of a facility that is literally gassing baby animals to death. So in the pig industry, pigs, Peppa Pig in real life would have been sent to a gas chamber at 6 months old. And if kids knew that fact, they would not want to support this industry. And obviously parents trying to keep these industries so far away from the choices, if they know about them, from their children. But if these kids knew that their favourite character, Peppa Pig, was being sent to a gas chamber at 6 months old, they would not want to support these industries. And it's absolutely crazy that this is literally at the entrance of Paultons Park. This is the car park just behind me. The cars drive through here and go into the car park. And opposite me here is literally the driveway of the facility. So what questions do you have? What questions do you have about the chicken industry, the egg industry, or any of the animal industries? As I said, I'm here to educate, to raise awareness, but also please do go to this video description. In the description is a link to a 3-minute movie, and you can see exactly what happens to animals in just 3 minutes. It will change your life. It's changed so many people's lives. And if you can watch this live stream, you can go and watch a 3-minute movie about what happens to animals. Right, so anyone, yeah, as I said, anyone that spams the chat, you're just going to get booted. Southampton, yes, it is Southampton. You can stop saying that. Obviously, it's Paultons Park. Anyone can find out where Paultons Park is. But yeah, so the company, and this is why I'm trying to say this is such a secretive industry. So this company, even on Google Maps, isn't even updated as what this facility is. On Google Maps, this is still listed as a previous company. This company was bought by Avara Foods. This is one of the biggest chicken producers in the country, producing eggs and obviously chicken's bred for meat consumption. And you can look up Avara Foods as well. And you know, there's many slaughterhouses owned by Avara Foods where the chickens come from these hatcheries, they go to the farms, and they end up into these slaughterhouses. So yeah, Jambo, I'm saying if you're just going to spam chats with a load of nonsense, myself or any moderators will boot them. But yeah, any genuine questions you have, please do put them in the chat. There's a lot of messages coming through, so I will do my best to answer them. And please don't get triggered if I don't answer your question. I'm doing the best I can. So Jay's put, I have a question. If you're so worried about animal rights, why do vegetables don't get to live? Vegetables in plants were a living organism before you ate them. Vegetables and plants, whilst they might be living organisms, they do not have pain receptors. They do not have sentience. They do not have central nervous systems. Plants don't feel pain. They're not sentient beings. Animals are. Why, you know, and even if they were, I always say this, even if they were, more animals are being killed, more plants are being killed because of the animal agriculture industry. The billions of crops that are being fed to the animals that are then being killed is far greater. So if you really cared and if you genuinely believe that plants do have pain, that is another reason for being vegan. How do you know? Wow. You know, if you can't look up, if you can't even do your own research, like scientists have clearly shown that plants don't feel pain. You can go and look at this research. You don't have to take my word for it. Go onto Google, find some studies. Plants don't have pain receptors, central nervous systems, brains, and pain receptors. They don't feel pain. So Tori said, I'm newly vegetarian. I've spent time on a farm, and for the ones that I don't know, cows are like big dogs. They love, feel, get scared. So 100% Tori, it is so true. Cows are just like big dogs. Again, they have personalities. They like to run and play around. They like to chase a ball. And if you've ever observed cows doing this, it's just so fascinating to see, because so many cows would never get this opportunity. And the issue that, so you mentioned, Tori, that you're a vegetarian now. So the issue is if you're still consuming and purchasing dairy products, because the dairy industry is this hidden industry that people don't realize the cruelty behind it. The dairy industry means that cows that are producing milk end up in slaughterhouses. So Tori, if you are consuming milk, unfortunately, you're still paying for cows to be, oh, you said no dairy. Okay, brilliant. But yeah, that's great. So why are you not vegan, Tori, then? If you're not, eating animals is wrong, dairy's wrong, what's stopping you from being vegan? And for those that don't know about the dairy industry, so cows are forcibly impregnated, cycle after cycle. Cows then give birth. Their babies are then taken from their mothers at birth. If those babies are male, they'll be sent off to the veal industry and likely slaughtered within a week. And if they're female cows, they'll be subject to the same conditions that the mothers had to go through. They'll be separated, put into these white hutches, and then once sold off, they'll be forcibly impregnated. So they get bull from a semen, they inject it using a metal rod into the rear of a female cow. They'll impregnate the cow, and then the cow will give birth. And the mother, but we've got to bear in mind, these cows are mothers. They produce milk for their young. They produce milk for their babies. We're mammals, like cows are. Why do humans produce breast milk? To give to their young. Cows are doing the same, except humans are taking the milk intended for the cow's young, and we're packaging it up and putting it into supermarkets. So not only is it a women's rights violation, you're taking babies away from mothers, you're killing baby cows at birth if they're male, you're forcibly impregnating them, And ultimately, these dairy cows that become spent in the industry because their milk production declines after the relentless milking and the traumatizing process, that these cows are then sent to slaughterhouses at between 3 and 5 years old. So vegetarians that think they're doing the right thing, by stopping eating meat, if you're paying for dairy, paying for eggs, you're paying for those same animals that you're thinking you're protecting. You're actually paying for them to be sent to slaughterhouses. So 420s, Alex, you don't know the difference between your arse and your elbow power. Please do give me some explanation to that. What have I said that isn't true? And again, I keep saying, go and look this up yourself. There's a link in my description to the 3movies.wtf. Go and look at a documentary like Dominion. Go and watch the footage for yourself. There's a truck coming out. So this is the one that came in earlier. So this is Freightways. So we've got Mel and Steve with us here at the moment. Steve's just chatting to the driver. He's going to hopefully get some information about what this truck is, who they have on the truck, if they're transporting, live animals to the farms, if they're transporting dead animals' bodies, if it's the male chicks that have been culled, if they're being transported on these trucks. So I think Mel and Steve are just giving them a card, which is brilliant. So yeah, we've got obviously three of us live streaming at the same location. We've kind of got both sides of the entrance to this facility. So we'll try and find out what they said. What did he say? What did he say?
Vegan.
His mum's vegan.
He was raised vegan, and now he's
Oh, wow.
vegan. I was like, what happened? But then, he didn't drive. I gave him the car. And
Yeah.
I hope he landed, hope he glory.
Yeah. Did he say what was on the trucks at all?
He's just dropping off a pallet.
Oh, pallets.
Yeah,
Okay.
a pallet of water. So yeah, no chicks in there. I think the big white one.
Yeah.
To me, was like I think that would have been full of chicks. I've seen them before, and they walk in the middle, and they're like racks of cages. I presume that's what it was.
Yeah.
Cool.
By the way,
Yeah.
guys, this is Alex Activism. Follow him. He's doing a live stream as well at the moment.
Yeah, the camera's literally pointing at you and to anyone else. Yeah, this is Mel and Steve. Yeah, please do go and check them out. But yeah, we're at a rather hidden facility today, and as I said earlier, so this live stream, that this facility hasn't even been updated on Google Maps. They want to keep these places so hidden from you. This is a hatchery, and we're trying to find out if this hatchery is producing eggs for the egg industry and egg-laying hens, or also for the meat industry if they're producing broiler chickens. And this is owned by Avara, one of the biggest food producing companies in the country that produce farm chickens essentially, and they send them to slaughterhouses. So Avara owns slaughterhouses as well as these hatcheries, and they're even they're advertising for jobs right at the front of this facility. And we know that the harm that it doesn't. We know the harm that it causes for animals, but we also know the harm it causes for the unfortunate workers that go inside these places, whether you're inspectors, whether you're workers on the floor, that you're so traumatized from blood and death all day that PTSD and other mental health issues that will stay with you for life.
Yeah.
So these industries cause harm to so many of us beings as humans and animals.
Yeah, and you don't get PTSD from something that looks nice, right? You get it from something that's horrible. So yeah, Alex, you did an amazing job finding this place.
Yeah, we've got to find. Yeah, and
Alex is really clever at finding hidden places. If you saw our one where we went to that hidden pig farm, yeah, guess who was behind finding that one as well?
I have my ways. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're outside Portons Park, Portons Park, and then there's a hatchery there. But yeah, fascinating that guy was raised vegan and his mum's vegan.
Yeah.
But I gave him a card, said watch Land Folk with your mum. So
Brilliant.
hopefully you'll see.
Hopefully.
He wasn't triggered. He was open to chatting and stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe next time we can jump in the van and go in.
Yeah. Sneak us in. Sneak a camera in there.
I should have said that. Yeah.
Next
we don't want
time.
to scare him off too quick.
No.
Yeah. We'll be back though, so I'm sure we'll see him again.
Yeah, now that we're finding them all.
Yeah.
Mapping them all out.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
By the time this is, we're killing 32 cows.
Cool.
today.
Cool.
Right.
Thanks,
See you in a bit. So yeah, that's Mel and Steve. Please do go out. They're brilliant activists. You know, we often do lots of activism together, and finding places like this. And yeah, as they said, I do have my ways of finding locations like this, which is always good. Like, if I have this information, I'm going to give it to the amazing activists that I know and trust, and we've got to expose these places. You know, we can't do everything on our own. And yeah, many farms, slaughterhouses, hatcheries like this. It does take a bit of research to find, but we understand that it's so important to try and find these places. So as I said, any bot chats, spam chats are just going to get timed out. So yeah. So yeah, what questions do you have? Have you got anything else that you wanna ask me about? So Tori put, why don't people look up the slaughterhouse or the pipeline or the horse pipeline? Obviously, the save a horse, they aren't dog food. Yeah, so there's actually a horse slaughterhouse probably about an hour or two away from this location, and they are one of the registered slaughterhouses in the country that slaughter horses. And this is, again, these industries that are so hidden from us. This is the horse racing industry. Horses that are no longer viable financial products, horses that, you know, get injured and can no longer race, are often sent to slaughterhouses. These animals that people claim to, you know, love and adore and train for horse racing, as soon as they're no longer profitable or get injuries, they are sent to slaughterhouses or shot. Often after races on the tracks, you've probably seen, you know, headlines at things like the Grand National or Cheltenham races where, you know, horses have forcibly to jump fences, break their legs, and they break their necks. They cause injuries, and if they don't die on the course, they will be often shot and they'll be taken to a slaughterhouse. And if anyone remembers the sort of the horse meat scandal a few years ago, companies like Tesco in Iceland were having traces of horse products in other meat products, which just goes to show, like, these horses are being slaughtered like other animals. So yeah, I can see, Tori, you're still in the chat, and I don't know if apologies if I didn't see your response earlier. But you said you're vegetarian, you don't consume dairy. What was the reason that you're not vegan then? What is it that's maybe stopping you, or what is it that's, yeah, not making you take that leap to full alignment with not exploiting animals?
Okay, this is a topic that's close to our heart because we have rescue chickens at home.
So yeah, any other comments that will come in? If Tori, you could let me know your situation, but otherwise, I eat my chickens' eggs, that's it. Okay, so sort of the backyard style argument. And I mean, the fact is that as vegans, obviously we have a principle that we shouldn't look at an animal and think, how can we benefit from them? All right, we shouldn't be thinking, oh no, I want their food, I want their clothes, I want their products. We should have a view that animals should have rights and shouldn't have, you know, eggs taken from them, babies taken from them, their lives taken from them. And, you know, the fact that, you know, chickens can still have distress when eggs are taken from them. You know, chickens will want to stay on their eggs, they want to keep them warm because, you know, that's what they would do naturally. And often chickens' eggs, you know, in the wild, what would happen to them naturally is that often you can feed chickens' eggs back to them. So again, you don't have to be, you know, intercepting these animals' lives. You don't have to be interrupting and yeah, being in control of their lives, because they have rights just like we have rights, and we should all live in harmony together and not exploit them. But the biggest issue, you know, going very down the depths of backyard hens here and backyard eggs, or your eggs in your back garden, but the fact is the huge problem that we have is that billions of chickens are killed every single year for meat products and for the egg industry. So in the UK, 24 million male chicks are killed because of the egg industry. Jambo says, what brand of clothes are you wearing? I mean, you won't be able to see this, but it says animal rights on it. It's a vegan, ethical, cruelty-free company. My shoes are vegan, yeah. So, you know, often people are like, oh, I'm going to catch you out as a vegan that's wearing animals' clothing. No, obviously not. We're not stupid, and we're vegan, so we're ethically aligned. We're not going to be purchasing animal products to wear. if we're vegan, in the same way we wouldn't purchase animal products to eat if we're vegan. So Mopa, if slaughterhouses did not exist, we'd all be hunting for food. I mean, that's just not the case. That's not the case, is it? You know, we as vegans, we're not paying for animals to go into slaughterhouses, and we're not hunting for food. We go to supermarkets or greengrocers, whatever place that you buy your food from at the moment, and you pick up the fruits, the vegetables, the beans, the legumes, and you've got all the food you need. You've got plant-based milks, you've got oat, soy, macadamia, hazelnut, almond, you've got all these milks. You don't need to consume animal products. And we're not going to be suddenly hunting for food, you know. Sounds like you killing plants to eat, what's the difference? So once again, plants don't feel pain, they don't have pain receptors, they don't have central nervous systems, and they're not sentient beings. So Wayne's put, being vegan is expensive. Like, this is a total myth that being vegan is expensive. You can be, your diet can be as expensive or as cheap as you want it to be. And I always give the analogy, like, if you're buying an animal steak, right, you can buy a really cheap cut or you can get a really premium version. And that's the same way for like vegan alternative products. You can buy, you know, fairly cheap vegan fake meats. You can buy some other premium brands. But ultimately, being a vegan, you can survive on a whole food, plant-based diet. Some of the cheapest foods, you know, beans, legumes, pasta, rice, some of the cheapest foods and most accessible foods that are also cheaper and also healthier. And there's a study that showed that they did a weekly shop between an average meat eater and someone who eats a whole food plant-based diet. And it showed that on average on a weekly shop, the plant-based eater would spend 30% less. So it shows that you can do it on a budget. And I definitely have spent less on my weekly shops than I used to. Because things like, yeah, rice and pasta is just so cheap, and all the vegetables. You don't need to be buying any meat products and milk products and dairy products and cheese products and egg products. Yeah, you don't need to. So someone put, destroy the planet, eat plants. And it's an interesting point about destroy the planet. So one of the leading causes of deforestation, water loss, ocean dead zones, species extinction, and habitat loss is all animal agriculture as a leading cause. Animal agriculture creates more carbon emissions globally than the entire transport sector combined. I'll say that again, the animal agriculture industry and the food industry creates more emissions than the transport sector globally. So if you care about the planet, then you should care about animal agriculture and you should stop supporting it, knowing that the destruction it's doing to our forests, to our oceans, to our land, to our water and resource use. So American muscle pork is the tastiest meat. It has the most fats and sodium, which gives it its flavor. Bacon is impossible to give up ham and meat sausages too. So quite a few things to unpack in that comment. Firstly, you can get vegan pork, you can get vegan bacon, you can get vegan sausages that look the same, taste the same, have the same meal, right? And even if it was 10% less taste, what it doesn't mean is that you're sending an animal to be sent to a gas chamber at 6 months old. These pigs that are killed for pork products are sent to gas chambers at 6 months old. And also you mentioned ham and sausages. Excuse me, ham and sausages. They are classified as a class 1 carcinogen. They are known to directly have a causal link to cancer. That's by the World Health Organization. You can look that up. Processed meats like ham and sausages are a class 1 carcinogen. So from a health perspective, it is horrendous. But from an ethical perspective, you're sending animals to gas chambers when we have products that look the same and taste the same. Sorry, there's so many comments, I've literally just scrolled straight to the bottom, so we'll see what comes in now. So Canal said, how about omega-3s and vitamins like B12 that are essential for a human being? So, omega-3s and B12, yeah, you can get them as a vegan. So, for example, if we talk about omegas, often people think, oh, you need fish oil or you need to eat fish to get omega-3s. Fish are the middlemen. Fish get the omegas from the algae. We can get omegas direct from the source, direct from the plant source, the algae. And the same with B12. So B12 doesn't occur naturally. sorry, it doesn't come from animals and not from plants. Vitamin B12 comes from a bacteria in the soil. And over time, where we have like pesticides and fertilizers, the bacteria in the soil, the B12, is difficult to then consume. So what actually happens now is that people may get B12 from eating animal products, but that's because the B12 is supplemented in their feed. And again, you can look this up. You can see that vitamin B12 is supplemented in animal feed. So you can get B12 from having the animal eating the B12, and you're getting it secondhand, you're using the animals as the middlemen, or you can just get the same supplement direct from the source. And many plant-based foods are now fortified with B12, things like soy milk and cereals. They already have fortified with B12 in it. So the point is that you can get omega-3s, omega-3, 6 and 9, and you can get vitamin B12 from plant-based sources. So Jake, you're saying, do you think ethical hunting practices are a good thing and even essential for the environment? There is no ethical way to hunt. There is no ethical way to kill an animal. There is no ethical way. And we'll bring it back to the point that we are all on this planet together. We're all animals. You know, we as humans are animals. You've got wild animals, animals that are being hunted. You don't need to hunt an animal for the environment. The worst things that happen for the environment is the fact that animal agriculture is destroying the world, and we can reforest and rewild up to 75% of arable farmland in not in the country, in the whole world. You know, we have all this space to rewild plants, to rewild nature, rewild some of the species that are already threatened extinction, and unfortunately, animal agriculture being a leading cause of species extinction already. There is no reason to go and hunt and kill an animal unnecessarily. You don't need to do it. So yeah, once again, please do check out the video description and go and watch the 3-minute movie. It's just 3 minutes and you can see exactly what happens to animals in the farming industry and the slaughterhouse industry, and you can see exactly what happens and a reason why many of us have been vegan, a reason why many of us have gone vegan. So Zelda's just put, can you please explain what chicken period means, sir? So if you were on earlier, obviously we're at the chicken hatchery, and the fact is that people consuming eggs are basically consuming chickens' periods. You know, eggs that haven't grown into a baby chick, an unfertilized period essentially, and that's what people are consuming. People that consume eggs are consuming chickens' periods, which is obviously disgusting from the fact that you're eating that, but more disgustingly, the fact that the baby chicks, if they're males, are killed within 24 to 48 hours if they're males, because male chicks don't produce eggs. And if they're female, then they're going to be basically going through the same process as the egg-laying hens. They're to produce 300 eggs per year instead of their natural, which would have been 10 to 15 eggs a year. So they're bred to produce up to 30 times the amount of their natural eggs. And just imagine the strain of a body. Imagine you as a human having to produce 30 times more, you know, eggs. If that's, you know, imagine the strain in your body, and that's why they're often killed between 1 and 2 years old. And the fact is, we know that we don't need to support these industries. We know we don't have to pay for them. We have so many vegan egg alternatives, as I mentioned earlier, brands like Just Egg, brands like Cracked that you can find in your local supermarkets, in Asda and Tesco. Or even a tofu block. As I said, it's a complete protein source, all your essential amino acids, it's nutritious, it's cheap. Bit of tofu, nutritional yeast, look up vegan egg recipe using tofu. Put it in ChatGPT if you have to. And you realize you can have the same tasting foods, you can have the scrambled eggs, you can have the flavor, and the best bit, you don't have to pay for industries that are sending baby chickens to slaughterhouses or to be put into macerators, big blenders on their first day of living. And the eggs that they do keep that hatch into male and female chickens for the meat industry are sent to slaughterhouses at 6 weeks old, 42 days old. They are just babies. You know, they can live to over 10 years old. And it's a point that I'll always keep remembering this point now, is like, how unkind is it that we are not allowing animals to live to an old age? We're not allowing animals to grow old. We're killing them as babies. Chickens that are 6 weeks old, pigs that are 6 months old sent into slaughterhouses and gas chambers, Sheep, lambs that are 6 months old. Cows for the beef industry, 1 to 2 years old. Dairy cows, 3 to 5 years old. All these animals are killed at a fraction of their lives. So Wake Up said, animals are food, not friends. I mean, you've clearly never watched Finding Nemo. Fish are friends, not food. They don't grow old in nature either. I mean, so Olive, you've probably never been to maybe a sanctuary before. A lot of sanctuaries, for example, that have adopted racehorses, horses that were bred for racing and destined to go to the slaughterhouses. People have actually managed to intercept that process and take them on and keep them and look after them. These horses are now growing to over 20, 25 years old, instead of being killed at maybe 3, 4, 5 years old, depending on the injuries that they endure. And the same thing at other sanctuaries. So cows that are allowed to live out their lives to over 20 years old. Because again, you can look up this on Google, look up the natural lifespan of these animals. Chickens can live to over 10 to 12 years old, cows over 20 years old, same with horses. But yet we kill them at a fraction of that age. So yeah, the point is we don't allow animals to grow old. And that's just, like, who are we to decide? We're all in this planet with these other animals. Who are we to decide how long an animal should live and die for? Is that another truck? No. So yeah, for anyone that's just recently joined, basically outside the front of Paultons Park today, and a lot of the cars are coming in now, 9:30, it's probably going to get busier, with families basically taking their kids to a fun day out. They're going to take their kids to Paultons Park and they're going to go and see Peppa Pig World, a very famous character for kids and the entertainment, the characters that they love. The dark side of this is that the entrance of Paultons Park theme park is there's 100 yards away from this driveway right in front of me, which is a chicken hatchery. A hatchery that has egg-laying hens producing eggs that are then kept into artificial incubators. And if those eggs hatch to be male, they are killed within 24 to 48 hours. They are separated, and if they're males, they're killed because they don't lay eggs. They're of no use to the industry. So then the animals, the females that hatch, that do get to live within that first 24 to 48 hours, they're then transported to farms all around the country. Some of these journeys can be up to 3 days long, 72 hours long, where essentially the chickens, the baby chickens that are transported in these tiny crates have no food, have no water. Then they'll go to a farm where they'll only stay there for another 5 or so weeks, and then they're taken to a slaughterhouse to be killed. It's a cycle of complete exploitation, a cycle of death, and death at either a day old or death at 6 weeks old. This is the egg industry, and this is the chicken industry. And thank you, James. I was literally just about to come on to that. And what has this got to do with Paultons Park and Peppa Pig? Well, as I said, firstly, the entrances are basically adjacent. These cars that are all coming in with the young kids and young families are driving past the entrance where baby chicks are being killed, where baby chicks are being macerated on site or transporting them to farms to then end up in a slaughterhouse. But the fact is, Paultons Park, home of Peppa Pig World. The kids that love Peppa Pig, a fun character to watch. But people and kids don't realise that Peppa Pig would be sent to a gas chamber at 6 months old. Peppa Pig would be sent to a gas chamber at 6 months old for pork, for bacon, for ham, for sausages. And I'm pretty sure if most kids knew about that, and if kids saw footage of what would actually happen to Peppa Pig, they would not want to support that. And part of that could be down to, the parents that are willingly not showing them the reality. Most kids grow up to be compassionate. Kids grow up to want to play with animals. Kids don't grow up to want to go and kill animals. And it's this disconnect that we have to address. And most likely every one of these cars that are driving into Peppa Pig World today, I mean, that was a very long stare, are all going to realise there's activists outside this place right opposite. Why are they here? And they could easily find out that, oh, this is actually a chicken hatchery. And maybe they go to look further. But please do go to the video description and check out the 3-minute movie challenge. It's just 3 minutes long, and you can see what happens in the egg industry. You can see what happens to animals, you know, in farming and their upbringing, and what happens to them at the hands of human beings. But also you can see what happens in the clothing industry. You can see what happens in the entertainment industry. So again, question I had earlier, but happy to answer it again. What would you do with all the animals if people stopped eating them? So this is all an industry built on supply and demand. This industry where we breed and kill 92 billion land animals every single year. If people stop consuming those animals, they're not going to breed them at the same rate. They're not going to produce 92 billion land animals if people aren't consuming them. They're not going to be consuming those animals. So it wouldn't be financially viable for the farmers. It wouldn't be financially viable for the industry at all. So these industries are built on supply and demand. If people stop paying for these products and choosing other products, they're not going to breed them into existence. And that's why they're not going to basically be bred at the same rate and killed. So we would reduce the number of animals. Ideally, over time, you know, it's not going to happen overnight, unfortunately. We'd love that to happen, but realistically, not going to happen. And what would happen is, the animals would stop being bred into production, the animal numbers would decline until they would live out their lives in places that are actually looked after them, in places like sanctuaries, and rewilded where possible. But the problem is that we as humans, we have commodified these animals and we're artificially breeding them. So for example, chickens that are now bred and to be slaughtered at 6 weeks old, like, they're bred to grow as big as possible in a short space of time, and their bodies and their limbs can't keep up with the weight and the strain in their bodies. And this is what we have done to them. Mr. Green said, hunting season is coming, brothers. Just like hunting, what a disgusting and sad thing to do. Like, why on earth would you want to go out and hunt innocent wild animals? You know, whether you're in the US, whether you're in the UK, you know, things like fox hunting. A lot of people's against fox hunting, but why would you want to go out on horseback with a pack of hounds, and why would you want to go and chase for sometimes 6 hours a day, chasing a fox through a load of fields to then have the hounds attack it to death, and that's it? That's just one of the most sickening things that people could do. So Spirit Brothers, according to the NHS, meat is considered a healthy part of the diet. Yep, so the NHS guidance, obviously, like the government, is heavily subsidised by the meat industry. The meat industry is subsidised by the government. There's a lot of support from the meat industry and to the health industry of infiltrating health and nutritional information. If you look at, I think it's the latest Eat Lancet report, shows the actual stance of that plate visualization of how much vegetables, how much fruits, whatever it might be. But maybe the most important information that you'd better have is the fact that if you look at the British Dietetic Association, the American Dietetic Association, they show that throughout all forms of life, from babies, infancy, to adulthood, to old age, a plant-based diet is nutritionally adequate throughout all forms of life. So you know that you can consume plants, be absolutely healthy throughout all forms of life. And no, we as vegans are living proof of that. You know, I haven't eaten an animal product in over 5 years. We don't need to do it. So James said, Alex, I'm on the opposite side of the fence with you on eating meat, but I don't have to agree with fox hunting. There's better ways of doing it, I'd say. As in better ways to hunt foxes or better ways to eat meat? Yeah, so 40-year-old vegans just put a comment. Look at who governs the agriculture industry, and it helps farmers who makes money change laws to help and benefit. So yeah, and again, look at some of the schemes that actually support and prop up these industries. And the good example is things like red tractor farming, the dolphin-friendly labels on fish food. If you look at RSPCA Assured, these are all the industries that are propping up this sector. These are industries that are basically paying them and supporting them to have their labels stamped on a product. Often they're self-regulating, not independently checked. And it's all, you know, they're all putting money into their own pockets. They're all there to support and prop up these industries. So yeah, I mean, yeah, as Dave has just put, the RSPCA was exposed recently. If you look up the campaign called For Charlie, the For Charlie campaign really shows this story about a pig who escaped from an RSPCA assured farm. And if you look up the RSPCA assured industry, you realise that time and time again these facilities are being exposed. Time and time again, standards that they supposedly would enforce onto these farms are not being met from a welfare perspective. But regardless of how well an animal is treated in a farm, they're going to end up at a slaughterhouse in a matter of weeks or months anyway. There's no humane welfare best way to keep an animal.
Okay, Brendan, do you think that the dogs being trained, the human festivals, do you think that the dogs are victims? Are the dogs victims? Let's see if you think that the dogs are victims.
Sorry, I'm just going back through the comments. So Spirit Brothers, if you missed my message, I apologise for spamming the chat with Southampton. It's because I love Southampton. I lived here for 36 years. Oh wow. Did you know that this hatchery existed near Paultons Park? Well, I say near, it's literally right opposite it. But you know, if you didn't, it's probably because they keep it so well hidden from you. They keep it so, so far detached that people wouldn't know that this exists. The camera you're filming with made an animal product? No, like again, so many people going on about, oh, your phone or your clothes. Like, obviously as a vegan, I'm not gonna buy clothes that are made from animal products and a phone. Like, it's just, these are just distractions from, you know, the key root topics that we're talking about today. These are just distractions from, we're talking about, you know, baby chickens being killed on their first day of birth. And you're telling me, oh, but your phone. So yeah, Spirit Brother said, I didn't know it at all. I lived down Thornhill, 20 minutes, and 27, but I didn't know it was there. Exactly. So yeah, you lived here for dozens of years and you never knew that places like this hatchery exists right opposite of Paultons Park. It's, and they do this on purpose. Of course they do this on purpose. They try and keep everything so hidden from us. And the same thing about slaughterhouses, the idea that if slaughterhouses had glass walls, the world would be vegan. No one would want to, you know, see the animals being slaughtered and then go and pay for those products. And I've been to Paultons many times. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, they keep it so well hidden. As I said earlier, this place actually hasn't even been updated on Google Maps. This place was bought by Avara Foods, one of the biggest food chicken producing companies in the UK. They also own slaughterhouses. But obviously they're keeping it so secret. They don't want the public to know that. So a lot of cars now coming into Paultons.
So good that you're in a position of oppression where you can decide whether you can on the farm. But if it was you on the other side of it, I bet all the work.
All right, so I'm just going to check on my equipment. Right. So yeah, just a refresher. So we've also got Mel and Steve with us here today. And yeah, they're obviously amazing activists. Please do check out their channel. It's Mel and Steve. And yeah, basically they're obviously here with me exposing these industries, but they have also done investigations with me and on their own for other different animal exploitation industries, let's say, you know, farms, slaughterhouses. They do a lot of street debates and videos, and they're brilliant activists. So please do check them out. Yeah, give them a follow. So I'm just gonna take a little stroll over there. And yeah, so if I turn the camera around. So yeah, this is the industry, this is the gates.
The law allows it to happen, doesn't mean that morally and ethically it's okay that it happens. So we shouldn't always look to legal systems, because legal systems
Just
are
turn
built
the
off of
camera on.
morals. Morals aren't built off of legal systems. And the only way we ever get systemic change of legal systems is by people standing up
It's
against
alright if I just point the camera.
Keep an eye on it in a bit.
like this.
Fuck that for now.
Is the audio on? I can talk to you if you want. We can all chat together.
Yeah.
Flip it around.
Cool.
and then
All right.
Back in 2 seconds.
We just
Yeah, cool. No worries.
we're just double cameraing it up
We're
right now.
double
So what's up,
cameraing
guys?
right
I'm not Alex, but I'm on his live stream, helping out on his live stream.
Brendan has gone from playing word games to do you support abortion? Brendan, our position on abortion has got nothing to do with our position on animal rights. They're not linked. So we're here defending animals. We will be focusing on the animals. Animals always get pushed to the back, but not today. Today we keep them in the front. We keep them at the beginning of our advocacy. So yes, keep preaching. Jesus will take your victory to a whole nother level. Wow, yeah. I mean, Jesus was the #1 animal rights activist, right? If you watch Christspiracy, yeah. So guys, this is a hatchery. This is a hatchery. I'm talking to two live.
Yeah, we've
this
got two
is a
cameras.
hatchery, guys. I can't stress this enough, right? That we've been doing some pretty serious activism now for over 4 years, and we've never come across a hatchery. Never seen one. Yet today, we've managed to be tipped off by Alex that the hatchery exists just behind us, and rightfully so. We went down there, and it does
And
say on there,
Porton's
Hatchery.
Park is
And
there.
you believe it's literally in front of.
That's
right now,
crazy.
saying-
Porton's Park is
I can't
there,
believe that.
and a hatchery is here.
I
So
can't believe it.
human children are having a great time at Porton's Park, but animals' children have been taken away from their mothers. First of all, right? They've been taken away, put into these hatcheries, and then at 1 day old, they get sent to these farms of absolute hell, where they grow for around 42 days. And I'm talking as if this one is likely broiler chickens, which is the meat chickens. 42 days these animals are before they get sent to a gas chamber. We know this company is Avara, and we've been at Avara's gas chambers ourselves. If you've subscribed to our channel and Alex's channel, because I'm talking to you both at the same time, we go to these places and we see with our own eyes. We live stream and we show you guys, because the public don't ever see this. When was the last time you saw a gas chamber? When was the last time you saw male chicks being blended up alive for the egg industry? When was the last time you heard pigs screaming inside those gas chambers at 6 months old? Go and watch Pignorant on Amazon Prime. Go and follow Joey Carbstrong's YouTube channel. See his undercover investigations, the world's first expose on egg-laying hen gas chambers here in the UK. Avara Foods. Check it out. Watch it for yourself.
Yeah. All the cars are coming in now for Porton's Park. There are loads.
Yeah.
You know, it's just crazy. That you're driving past this building, I would never have known. I'd have driven past this and just thought it was just an industrial estate. I mean, you've got a pub, you've got a coffee shop, you've got all these places around here. There's someone's house is there, I think.
Yeah.
I think there's literally a house here, and then this place here.
The security were just checking we're still here.
Were they?
Yeah.
When you find this place on a map, right, you zoom in, it's not located. They haven't pinpointed it, Avara hatchery, or whatever it's called. What's it called? Oa hatchery. They've not pinpointed it on a map. They're not showing you it. And the reason being is because they don't want activists to find out. Because when activists find out, they come down, they apply pressure, they start putting cameras in, and all of a sudden, they panic. Because what happens when good people see the reality of what happens here, they change. Why, when we go to slaughterhouses, why when we go anywhere with a camera where animals are being exploited,
All right,
do they
the real
panic?
person who owns this channel's back now, so thanks for sticking with us for a minute, but Alex
They
is
probably
back.
want to stay with you.
No, you're good at talking. And also follow Alex Activism. Awesome animal rights activist. Defends the animals fiercely. He also is on a live as well right now.
Cool.
I'm on my live and I can see Alex is live, and Steve's there now. Yeah,
Mirroring
live
back.
streaming is powerful. In fact, if there's any vegans in the room who want to speak up for the animals, please speak up for the animals
Cool.
to start with.
So yeah, hope you had a
Very
good little takeover. There's actually some security at the front gate. I wonder what they're doing.
and show people
Potentially a truck going to come out.
Brendan says that you defend animals, but you don't defend human life.
Yeah, someone's coming out.
Not paying for animals to be exploited. In fact, Brendan, if you're a human
Wonder
rights
who's coming out.
and you go around preaching peace, but you literally have violence.
We'll
in
see
your way,
maybe what's going to
you're a
happen in a
hypocrite.
second. The
You
gates
know,
are
you don't
opening.
know my position on human rights, but I know your position on animal rights.
There's a truck coming out.
There's a truck coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, these have got to be chicks.
Yeah, so this is likely a transportation truck for the chicks about to be going to a farm. So this is a transportation truck, and this is where the chickens will basically be taken and bred sent to farms. Obviously, he doesn't want to talk. Steve just tried to chat to him there, and these all have tiny, tiny baby chickens inside. It's the same one that came maybe about an hour ago, and yeah, they're the trucks. They're the trucks that are taking the animals, the chickens. They're the ones that are taking these chickens to farms now, and these chickens will basically be killed at 6 weeks old. So it looks like Steve's going to go on a mission. I'm just going to grab my water bottle. So, yeah, obviously I think, as I said earlier, it's probably the first time that they've had activists at this facility. So, James, but Alex, what about going and showing the people who come from other places and take things like geese and swans to their home to eat, leaving their babies alone to suffer? So, as animal rights activists, we have to basically try and speak up for as much as possible with the time we have, and for the issues that we can talk about and the issues that hopefully will have a big impact for. Obviously, we'll try and speak up for any forms of animal exploitation. Like, I could stood here for hours talking about animal testing, talking about greyhound racing, horse racing, the fur industry, the wool industry, whatever those industries. And today specifically, we found a chicken hatchery. So again, this is a place which not many people know about. People may know about the farms, but they don't know about these hatcheries. And the fact that this is literally opposite of Paultons Park, a kid's family fun day out, is opposite a place that literally kills baby male chicks on their first day of life. So, yeah, if we're trying to speak up for, hi Alicia, thanks for being in the chat. Good to see you. Yeah, obviously we're trying to speak up for, we're not always speaking up for the most victimised, but we're speaking up for whatever we can do within our capacity, where we can travel to, where we can find out about and expose the places to try and show you, the public, what is happening, what your money is actually going towards. So Justin, you put, I work at a hatchery. I go in an hour. Are you going to this one out of interest? And what is your role in the hatchery? What's your role? I'm just curious. Yeah, this is just a YouTube scammer, says Scott the Rock. I mean, I have no idea how you expected me to be a scammer. I'm not even monetized. So if that's what you're even thinking. But the fact is, I'm here to show you the truth, show you the facts. And as David, the 40-year-old vegan, has been posting on the chat with all the links to watch videos, also in my video description is a 3-minute movie that you can watch exactly what happens to animals. You can see the truth for yourself. And on my Linktree, you can find lots of other documentaries that you can go and check out. So again, you don't always have to take my word for it. I'm here to be the spokesperson to show you exactly what is happening on the ground, what is happening live as we're here, to show you, the public, that this is the truth. This is why we're here. This is what's going on. And like many of the other live streams, just to show you the reality of, what the unfortunate reality is for the animals. Yeah, so thanks David for putting that in the chat again. So yeah, the 3-minute movie is a website called 3minutes.wtf, and it's completely free to watch as well. And yeah, David's also just put my Linktree in. So on that Linktree, you can find some street debates, but you can also find the links to the documentaries I've referenced. So The Land of Hope and Glory. If you're a UK resident, if you live in the UK, maybe that's the most applicable one for you to watch, because the Land of Hope and Glory is all filmed on UK farms and UK slaughterhouses. Also, we've got we've got the drone going up now, which I'm very pleased about. So we'll be able to get a look exactly what's going on from the aerial view. So we know as much as we can see on things like maps and other imagery of the site. But we know that this place is a hatchery. The granular detail, we don't know if what is going on inside, if they're breeding them for broiler chickens. We don't know if they're breeding them for the meat industry or if it's for the egg industry, and that's why that we're trying to get all this information. You know, this is the first time they probably had activists, and it's time to put the pressure on. So Alicia, so this company, as I mentioned earlier in the stream, basically they haven't even updated it on Google Maps. It's still the old company supplier. They want to keep it secret. This was bought by Avara Foods. So Avara Foods owns slaughterhouses in the UK and one of the biggest producers of chicken products in the UK. So Avara Foods now owns this hatchery, and this is a breeding facility of chickens for the meat industry or for the egg industry. And yeah, this is Avara, one of the biggest ones. They even got if I flip the camera again, so that banner in front of Mel there is basically a advertisement for recruitment. And what's even, I'd say what's funny, but what's clearly not up to date is like they're even advertising for less than minimum wage on that site, and they're looking for things like warehouse operators and other operatives, that basically the people that are going to be transporting chickens, separating chickens, and if you look at Animal Justice Project's expose of a chicken hatchery, you can see what actually happens to these chickens. So the chickens that are transported around on like big trolleys, like imagine, there's another car coming in now. Imagine they're like big supermarkets. So that was an interesting face you pulled. Yeah, as I said, this place won't have had activists before, so they're probably very intrigued at what's going on. And yes, the drone I think is about to take flight. So it'd be really intriguing to see what is going on going from the sky, and we'll get a better view of maybe what's going on out back, and yeah, give us a better picture of this facility. So Ryan, yourself, I mean, the fact that chickens are sent to slaughterhouses at 6 weeks old, they're 42 days old, and they are sent into CO2 gas. So, you know, it's not about getting over what. We're here to stand up for these animals that are being sent into gas chambers. In the same way, if you were being sent to a gas chamber at 6 months old, we'll probably be speaking up for you as well. But the fact that these poor chickens don't have the strength or the voices that we have to protect them. So, do you think a chicken knows it's 42 days old? I mean, how would you know what a chicken feels? How do you know? And why would you enforce what they should and shouldn't know, what they should and shouldn't feel? And if you've ever seen this footage, which I urge you to watch, go to the link to my video description and check out the 3-minute movie. And please just go and watch it for yourself. You know, if you've got 3 minutes, it's just something that will change your life. So drones up, I think. And yeah, we'll maybe have a little look. Yeah, so drones up in the air at the moment. Yeah, it'll be good to see exactly what's going on. I won't distract the pilot whilst in motion, but yes, we'll go and see what's going on. So James, but Alex, again, on the opposite side of the fence from you, but fair play to you, you're staying calm and collected and still getting hate. Again, not on your side, but stay courageous, mate. Thank you, appreciate that, James. And yeah, it's hard, you know, a lot of activists get a lot of hate, a lot of vegans get hate, whether you're speaking up for animals or not. And, you know, especially on things like these live streams, you know, there's a lot of hateful people, a lot of hateful comments, when I always try and reiterate my point. All I'm trying to do is trying to let people be kind to animals, trying to say that animals should have rights. Animals should be able to live their lives like we do without being sent to gas chambers at 6 weeks old or 6 months old. We just want animals to have freedom and have a choice to live. So yeah, and you know, a lot of people are in agreement with that. a lot of people are in agreement, and maybe people, once they see that footage, they go vegan. A lot of people in these live streams, on my live streams, on Mel and Steve's live streams, they listen to what we're saying, they go and check out the footage, and then they will ultimately go vegan after that, because you need someone to almost open your eyes to this industries in the world and realize that actually, what is going on, what are we doing to these animals. So Jason just put, what are you talking about dogs? I don't think I've even mentioned dogs so far yet on this stream, but I mean I'm happy to, but so Prairie's put, privileged life equals being vegan. What do you mean by that? Do you think veganism is only for the privileged? Because as I said earlier, like, plant-based foods are cheap, they're accessible, and veganism is a mindset. Veganism is a principle that we shouldn't exploit animals as far as practically possible. So if you're going to supermarkets and buying food off the shelves, that is practically possible for you to decide what you're eating. So you should not pay for animals to be killed. It's not a privileged thing. For your situation, you know, you're on a YouTube live stream. You probably have the capabilities to decide what foods you're eating and what clothes you wear. Being vegan depends on your blood type. I'm honestly, I have never actually heard that one before. So that's really interesting. It's something I've not heard before. So, okay, which blood types is it that you can't be vegan? Because I've never heard this before. So, yeah, James, with your comment, it's just like, we shouldn't go out of our way to breed animals, enslave them, and force them to death unnecessarily, right? We are on this planet with all these animals, and we should stand up for the billions of animals that are being killed every single year for unnecessary means. And they're the animals that we've got to speak up for, and we just want to live in harmony with the animals in this world. I'm still waiting for the answer about blood types. I don't know if anyone has actually posted that. Because again, that was it from Prairie? I'm a doctor and it's science. So tell me this, please show me the study and tell me the science. Please do. Please do. So, that one did actually make me laugh. Some blood types require bird's eye fish fingers. I mean, that's the type of ludicrous thing that I'm hearing from the idea that a blood type means you can and can't be vegan. And as I said again, veganism is a principle. It's not a diet. Vegan is a principle. So yeah, if you've got scientific evidence, please do share that. If you think that a certain blood type, I don't even know my blood type. So let's see what's going on at the front. So yeah, that car's that's gone in, what are they doing? So they're washing it all off. Again, I think decontaminating it. Still waiting for the blood type response. So yeah, they're obviously decontaminating the cars. There's such risk. Yeah, I'm just curious, David, if you're still on the chat, is this something you witnessed a lot with cars being washed before entering these sort of facilities? Because in slaughterhouses, you don't see this. You don't really see this. So yeah, David, I don't know if you've been subject, if we've got any information on this, but I assume it's for like decontaminating and yeah, I guess just making it sanitized. Like they've got lots of other cleaning equipment out there. So Alicia's put the Eat Right for Your Blood Type published book was debunked ages ago. There we go. So what is it about blood type B that you think you can't be vegan for? What is it exactly? So, and yeah, Dave's put some sort of biosecurity measure, perhaps avian influenza risk, salmonella, yeah. And so in the UK, I'd say maybe a couple of months ago, like bird flu, avian flu was rife. There was a lot of zones that were basically cornered, I'll say cornered off, showcased to be like high concentrated zones for avian flu. So I imagine if, you know, this is a chicken farm, you know, avian flu is probably rife in these areas, and yeah, it makes me not want to go too close into the facility. But if you do, yeah, obviously they've got masks out the front, they've got things like sanitizer, but yeah, you've got to stay safe. And again, like, this isn't just a risk to the animals' lives, this is a risk to our own human health. You know, these facilities that are just spreading avian flu is just, it's just crazy. The whole industry is just crazy.
Does it give you an idea of the size of the facility?
So I've just skipped right down to the bottom.
Very hidden, can't see.
So blood type B, 150% not debunked, or it almost died from being vegan, not a joke, brother. Again, what was it exactly, specifically, that you can't, like, what is specifically stopping you from being vegan with blood type B? Please do tell me. What specifically? What did you nearly die of? What was it? And Alicia, you've already mentioned the debunking. If you could maybe put a reference to this or give some information on this, that would be brilliant. So someone's put where are you? So yeah, if you can see here, some people maybe in the south of the UK maybe recognise this this logo. This is the entrance to Paultons Park. So you can see all the cars coming in. Typical when there's no cars going past. Here they come. See all the cars going into Paultons Park. And this is a family-friendly theme park, the home of Peppa Pig World. And at the same entrance where I am stood is the entrance to a chicken hatchery. A hatchery that kills male chicks in their first day of life, and a factory that breeds chickens to produce over 300 eggs per year per chicken. That's over 30 times their natural amount of eggs that they would produce. And those chickens, once they hatch, if they're males, they're likely cold, they're gassed or sent to gas chambers. And if they're females, then they'll grow up and they'll be sent either into the same facilities to breed more eggs, or often they're sent to other farms. And if they're sent to other farms for broiler chickens, for meat purposes, they're sent to these farms, they're transported sometimes up to 72 hours. And on those transportation trucks, they're given no food, no water, they're trapped in tight cages. And then once they reach the farms, they'll only stay there for about 5 weeks. And then after 5 weeks, then they'll be taken to a gas chamber, most likely run by the exact same company of this hatchery, the same company, and then they'll be sent to a gas chamber, lowered down into the gas and killed. My bones started becoming fragile and my skin only looked like hives all over my body, meat only saved me. So again, what is it exactly, don't know how many times I'll have to ask, what is it exactly that you can't get from being vegan? What is it exactly that's stopping you? What was your diet? Were you not getting enough nutrients? Because you can get all of your nutrients from a plant-based diet, as proven by the British Dietetic Association, the American Dietetic Association, and Living Proof right here. Like, you're saying your bones, yeah, you just put in the same comment. But I could say, oh, well, when I ate meat, my arms would be all flimsy and I was kind of getting rashes, and that was all because of meat. That's just anecdotal stuff. Where's the science? Where's the science? Where's the facts? Where's the truth? You're just spurting out claims about blood type B, saying you can't be a vegan. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Where is your science? Yeah, we're all waiting for the science. We're waiting for the study. Would love to see it. And so, Mace, do you think people ought to be vegan? So 100% yes. And what I'd urge you to do, so I'm just check it is in the description, but yeah, it should be. If you go to the 3 dots at the top of the screen, go to the video description and check out the 3-minute movie challenge. You can see exactly why I'm speaking on behalf of the animals today, and you can see exactly what happens to the animals, reason why I'm vegan and many others are vegan, and why many of us are speaking up for these animals. Check out the 3-minute video on the link to this description. So where's she gone? Where's the blood type? Prairie. So straight into Google. Yes, a person with blood type B can be vegan, as there's no scientific basis for blood type diet suggesting that a vegan diet is incompatible with blood type B. Key points: no scientific link. There is no scientific link that blood type dictates the ideal diet. That is a misconception with no scientific evidence to support it. A vegan diet can be healthy for anyone with blood type B. Sorry, Prairie. The internet doesn't seem to agree with you, Prairie. So, Prairie, come on. You know, we're rattling you now, Prairie. What have you got to say for that? You say, wow, dude, I needed multiple vitamins to keep. Yeah, so if you're eating plant-based diets, eat lots of food, you know, eat vegetables and you'll be fine. And that's why I'm trying to ask you specifically for numerous times, what was it that you were eating? What was it that you didn't get? What nutrients were you not getting? Remember, you don't need foods, you need nutrients, right? You can get nutrients from various foods. So your anecdotal thing about blood type B is just a load of bollocks. Unfortunately, it's just a load of bollocks. So, a more sensible question now. So what is a daily meal plan like for you, Alex? So me personally, my meal plan consists of, you know, breakfast would be something like oats, like hot oats, with a bit of cacao powder, a bit of blueberries, raspberries, chia seeds, flax seeds, lots of omegas, and yeah, so oats for breakfast. Then something for lunch, I'd make it like a big bowl, have some rice in it, some veggies, some salad, some beans, maybe some tofu or seitan or tempeh. So some protein in there, some vegetables in there, some carbs in there. And then dinners, like I had all the same dinners I used to have before. So things like spaghetti bolognese, burgers, tacos, whatever it might be. You can have those same foods and you can just get vegan alternatives, vegan equivalents, or plant-based versions of them. But also, like, now we have technology today, like we've got Google, we've got things like ChatGPT, and you can easily put like, these are the foods I like, please create me a 1-week meal plan that is vegan. And you can get a whole meal plan, breakfast, lunch, dinner. You can ask it for shopping lists, and you can get exactly all you need without, you know, all in the space of a couple of minutes. So you can get meal plans and, you know, follow some other, you know, nutritional, legitimate vegans or plant-based people that can give you proper nutritional advice. So Prairie, I only eat meat now and I look and feel healthier than ever. So Prairie, you saying you're a carnivore now? You don't eat a single fruit and vegetable? Because if that's so, I really worry for your bowels and your guts, because you're not getting any fiber. And fiber is such a crucial nutrient that, you know, we should all have in our bodies. We should all be consuming a lot of fiber, which you get in, you know, in plentiful amounts in a plant-based diet. What is that? Do you use hemp butter? No, I haven't used hemp butter. Sorry, yeah, I haven't used hemp butter. Some plants living, again, like the plants argument, plants, they may be living organisms, but plants don't have pain receptors. They don't have central nervous systems. They don't have sentience. They're not, they don't have the capacity to feel pain. You're not getting any brain food. Fish is brain food. So Jason, what is it in fish that gives you brain food? Is it omegas? Are you going to say omegas? Because any nutrients, as I said before, you can get the same nutrients from plants. You don't need the foods, you don't need the animals, you can get nutrients from other places. So Lee, I think I've seen your comment a couple of times. So what are your views on Africans in the bush who have to hunt to live, not talking about people who... Yeah, so Lee, it's a good question, actually. I'm kind of glad you brought it up. So once again, veganism, the principle, not a diet, is the principle that we should live without harming and exploiting animals as far as practically possible, right? So right now, we as individuals, if you're going to supermarkets and shops to buy clothes and for food, you have that choice. You have the capabilities to choose the compassionate option and not choose animals. So we're taking about a really abstract scenario here about someone, you know, living in the African bush who are struggling to survive. You know, if you're doing it for survival, that is a very, very, very different point to the majority of the population. And even so, if just because someone, you know, living in the African bush is hunting an animal because that's the only food source they have, that is still no excuse for what we do in our society, right? It's what is as far as practically possible for us in our current conditions. And if you live in the UK, there is no excuse for not being vegan. You're only comparing plants to animals. So yeah, as I said, plants don't have pain receptors. They don't have sentience. They don't have central nervous systems. They don't have brains. The fact they don't have pain receptors means they don't feel pain. They can't feel pain. So which plants give you omegas? So as I said before, so if you're talking about omegas, fish get omegas from the algae. You can get from basically the plant crops of the ocean is where the omegas derive and the fish eat them. So you can get omegas directly from the source. So algae, you can get vegan omegas without eating the fish. And yeah, as Alex said, that's a good point. So you can also get omegas from flax seeds and chia seeds. I said earlier, every morning in my breakfast, I'll have oats with a spoonful of chia seeds and flax seeds. A great source of omegas. Right, so I've just dropped right down to the bottom of the comments. Didn't realise how many comments there were, which is brilliant. I'll try and get through lots of them. So Canal said vegan diet is especially expensive in countries like India where carbs are their only prime source and plant protein is expensive. So, you know, if we're talking about vegan diet, we're talking about vegan foods in India, like some of your staple foods from what I understand, right? Things like chickpeas, lentils, rice. Some of, again, the most accessible and common foods that you'll find often is vegan anyway. It's not like trying to go and find these vegan alternative like meats and stuff. You'll find that your staple foods are already vegan. Just get rid of the butter, get rid of the ghee, you know, get rid of the butter, get rid of the dairy products that you don't need. Yeah, so John, the one they put chicks in a blender. Yeah, so they basically put male chicks into a macerator, which is like a big blender, on usually their first day of life. Within 24, 48 hours, male chicks will be separated from the female chicks and they'll be put into a macerator, or they'll be put into, killed via gas, CO2 gas, into a gas chamber, and that is how they would kill the animals. Reported for misinformation. What misinformation? Please do tell me, because everything I have given today is a true and honest facts and opinions. And as I keep saying, you don't have to take my word for it. Go and find your own research and you'll see it for yourself. And yeah, thanks David, the 40-year-old vegans put loads of links in the chat and please do check them out. Again, right. Misinformation. What boxing fans mob? Misinformation. What misinformation? Come on, challenge me. Challenge me. What misinformation is there? What have I said that isn't correct? You're a loser, bro. Eat meat. Eat meat, and that basically means stop caring for animals. Put them into gas chambers. Put them into slaughterhouses. You've said. So please go and watch the 3-minute movie in my video description. Hit the 3 dots, go to description and watch the 3-minute video. If you don't click it, just copy and paste it into your browser. It's completely free and it's not just listening to me taking my word for it. Go and watch it for yourself. Go and realize exactly what happens. to these animals in these industries. Yes, you say, yeah, chickpeas are also common foods, but they still come with a lot of carbs. They also lack amino acids of protein, so you have to combine with rice for whole. I mean, I don't know what the problem is. You have to eat chickpeas and rice. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. You know, that's good. You should be eating, everyone should be eating a variety of foods. I think it was, I can't remember which company it is that's basically trying to get people to eat 30 different plant-based foods in your average week. You should be getting a variety of plant-based products, so you're getting all of your nutrients and getting all of the health benefits from that. But chickpeas, rice, you know, things like that, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And if there is, please link me a study and I'd be intrigued to see what you've what you've got. And as I have said before, if you're just spamming the chat, you're gonna get timed out. So Mike said, do you work, Alex? Yes, and also, why would that matter? You know, whether we have jobs or not, we're speaking up for animals. And often people like you might saying, do you work? Do you have jobs? You can do both. You can speak up for animals, and you can, you know, whether you have jobs or not, it's just so irrelevant. And yeah, I get it so many times. Do you have a jobs? You know, whatever industries you work in, you can still speak up for animals in your spare time or whatever it might be. Just out of curiosity, relax. Yeah, fair enough, Mike. Maybe a bit of a harsh approach from me there. But I get it a lot. Yeah, I get a lot of people, or get like the amount of people even drive past in person, not just on these lives. People drive past and, oh, get a job, get a job. You think, well, whether I have a job or not, regardless, like what has that got to do with the animals going into a slaughterhouse, right? He claims benefits. Google him. Now we're talking about misinformation. So Jason's put, we are omnivores. We eat both. We are supposed to eat both. So the fact is, we are omnivores, correct? We therefore have the choice. We have the ability to eat both. And if we have the ability and we have the choice, why would we not want to choose the compassionate choice? Why would we not want to choose the cruelty-free options? Why would we not want to choose the foods that are good for us, healthy for us, cheap for us, that doesn't cause animals to be killed? And biologically speaking, when you look at the physiology of like our jaw and our intestines, we are far closer to herbivores than we are to carnivores, right? And we know the British Dietetic Association, the American Dietetic Association have proven throughout all forms of life that we can thrive and survive off plant-based diets. Choose to be compassionate. Yes, David. So Ryan Arrowsmith said, do you hate the people that work where you are? So this is a good point, and I think a lot of people judge, and potentially rightly so. However, like the people that work in these facilities, some of them, this is all they ever know, right? And you have to sometimes be open to having a conversation with them to realize, do they know what they're doing? Do they have compassion? Do they want to be doing that? And also, what alternatives do they have? So things like slaughterhouse workers, in the UK, a lot of them are, they're not actually English. They are taking the job because it's a low barrier to entry and they can't find many other jobs, and that the money they get is fairly good, which they end up often sending back home. And you have to think, like, again, it's just, it's a violation. Like, we're forcing almost humans to basically kill animals every single day, and you're forcing, therefore, mental health issues. You're forcing PTSD on these people because they don't have the means to do something else. And that's where we need other groups supporting that. You know, job centres. We can hopefully work with people like that to then say, you don't have to do this anymore. You can quit, you can find something else, and help them. You know, you've got transferable skills and you can do something else. If you're working in a production factory with animals, you can work in a warehouse in similar things, moving pallets around, but you're not moving animals on pallets around, right? Ryan, are your clothes vegan? Yes. Kunal, you're putting all the comments in again. Lentils, beans, and wheats have high amounts of carbs and some protein, so you eat more maintenance calories and you get fat. So you buy expensive plant-based proteins, here it gets expensive. Again, it's just not true. It's just not true. Like, if you're eating chickpeas and rice and vegetables, you're getting enough protein, enough carbs, enough good fats. You're getting everything you need from those sort of meals. You know, how much protein do you think you need? But also, like you're saying about all these foods, and you need plant-based proteins, tofu, tempeh, seitan. You know, tofu is very cheap. It's made out of soybeans, and it gives you exactly what you need. Bears are omnivores, tell them to only eat berries. We're not bears, sorry to tell you, Jason, but you're not a bear. You're not a bear, you're a human. You have the ability to choose. You have the luxury to choose. You go to supermarkets, you pick whatever you want to off the shelves. You go into shops, you pick up the clothes you want to buy. Bears don't have that. You don't see bears going into Asda with their shopping trolleys. Charlie said, I'm a meat eater, don't preach to me about it. I don't tell you what to eat. So the problem is that you're preaching your beliefs onto the animals. You're forcing animals into gas chambers, and all we're doing is saying, please be kinder, please stop doing that. Like, who is physically, what vegans have ever forced someone physically to being vegan? No, we're just here to raise awareness. We're here to show you the truth, to tell you the truth, and to help you and support you to becoming vegan. No one is forcing you to do anything. We know that. We know we're all individuals with our individual choices. But the fact is, if you know what happens to animals, if you know the reality, why on earth would you want to intentionally cause the pain and the suffering for these animals? Unless you're just a not a kind person, you're not a compassionate person. That is the only thing I can think of, the only reason why. If you're that type of person that just gets joy out of killing animals, that's a very, very, very small portion of people. I think most people care for animals, would say they're animal lovers. They may even have pet dogs and cats at home. And if that's your opinion, then, and you have companion animals, then it just does not make sense that you're sending other animals into gas chambers. Would you ever send your dog to be bolt gunned to the head and have their throat sliced? I don't think you would. Bet you have a leather sofa at home. Nope. Sorry, Ryan. So many things about clothes. I mean, I could say it one more time. My clothes are vegan. You know, this one's literally even got a vegan stamp on. And we're not that stupid. Like, we as vegans, like, whenever we're buying anything, we're, you know, ethically thinking, is this made from animals, derived from animals, causing animals harm? And we'll always choose the compassionate choice. So Canal said, I also support veganism. No offense, buddy, I was just asking these questions for the audience here. Thank you for the lovely answers. I appreciate that, Canal, and that's great that you support veganism, and hopefully you'll learn that, you know, things like chickpeas, beans, rice, and get a lot of veggies in there. That's all you need. You'll get a nutritionally complete diet, get a variety of plant-based foods, and you'll be absolutely fine. So Dark says, I don't think people should own pets anymore. And then, yeah, this is a very, very good point. The pet industry is another form of exploitation that happens to animals. Like things like dogs or guinea pigs. You know, a lot of these animals are bred and then end up in the front of shops, shop windows, and confined into cages. And especially in the pedigree dog industry, you know, these sort of designer dogs that people are paying thousands of pounds for. So many dogs that really need the support and help are ending up in shelters, overcapacity shelters that don't get love, don't get the attention. And again, it's because of money, because people are breeding animals for people to, again, how can people benefit from them? We have so many rescue animals, you know, rescue dogs. Think of companies like Dogs Trust or the Cats Protection, all these companies that exist to try and help these rescue animals. If people had just been compassionate and gone to a rescue centre rather than supporting the pet industry that brings on more animals that need to be rescued, then, yeah, you can be more compassionate. Sally, are your shoes and clothing vegan? Yes, they are, Sally. The 100th time, yes, they are. So Abby said, stop lying. I've seen nutritionists, and they both agreed that it was should eat meat and fish. Okay. I mean, the science shows us that plant-based foods are adequate, they're nutritious, and they're complete, and you don't need to consume animals. You know, you're saying there's nutritionists saying that you have to eat meat. Well, there's nutritionists saying that you can eat plants. So, Sally Jane, how do you know? How do you know my clothes are vegan? I mean, it literally says vegan on them. And the suppliers that I know are vegan, ethical, cruelty-free companies. But again, what is my clothes? What is these clothes? They're vegan anyway, but what has this got to do with the fact that we're talking about today? What has this got to do with the fact that animals are being sent into slaughterhouses and gas chambers? What on earth has my clothes got to do with that? The topic that we're talking about. So John, hey John, my man just spent 2K on a puppy. It's just baffling, isn't it? It is baffling. Like the amount of dogs and cats and rabbits and guinea pigs that are discarded, that they are just seen as no longer useful for this industry because, you know, out of a litter of 8 puppies, you know, 2 of them get sold and 2 of them get sold and the rest end up back at a rescue centre because the breeders can't cope with the amount of dogs they've got. They need to get rid of them, and again, they're just seen as a commodity, a product that we don't need to fuel the industries for. Ryan, can we come and do a cans process? Please do. Come on down. Come on down. Let's chat in person. Let's do it. We got to eat though. So yeah, of course we've got to eat. We can eat plant-based foods. You don't have to eat animals. Can you debate though? I mean, if you haven't checked out my YouTube channel, I do a lot of street debates and yeah, chat to loads of people on the street, members of the public. And again, obviously like these conversations are an interesting format because it's just me talking to you, but not hearing you back, not, you know, addressing any body language, not addressing in-depth conversations. All I'm addressing is short comments on a screen. So it's very hard to actually get to a proper understanding of an individual. And, you know, street debates, you're talking one-to-one, not one-to-many. And it's, yeah, it's a good format and would happily debate people on the streets like I have done. I've live streamed often and had conversations with people. Yeah, speak to a lot of people on the streets, happy to debate. And that's why I'm always, you know, intrigued to hear what challenges and concerns do you have, because most likely I would have heard them before. And yeah, it's a case of where do you actually stand? Are you there just to debate and just have an argument? Or is it more of a case that, you know, deep down you are a compassionate purpose and you just need some support into making compassionate choices? The idea that if you see footage, which I urge you to watch the 3-minute movie in my video description. If you see the footage of the animals going into a gas chamber or being bolt gunned to the head and have their throat sliced open, if you see that footage and you think that's totally okay, you think, yeah, get joy out of that, then the conversation is just not going to go anywhere. Like, you're not a compassionate person, you're not kind, and we know that conversation is probably not going to be that productive because you know, for your morals and your values are so far away. You're there to literally oppress animals. But those that just don't know is the productive conversations where you can explain the industry, show them what happens, and realize that you're supporting these industries with your money. Hexwar says, how do you feel about Mel and Steve stealing your... Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're literally... Let me flip the camera around. Yeah, if anyone knows Mel and Steve, there they are. And yeah, I mean, please do check them out. Go and subscribe. They do, again, like similar stuff to what I do. They do investigations, they go to slaughterhouses, they go to farms, and they speak to you on the streets. So yeah, if you don't check them out, it's Mel and Steve. Yeah, please do go and subscribe to them. They're brilliant activists. So yeah, it's interesting. If anyone's like scrolling through YouTube lives this morning, if anyone has, let me know if you have come across Mel and Steve. Be curious to know how they're doing, how conversations are going in their chats. Yeah, thanks, Canal, for the message. So yeah, for anyone, you're better than Mounds. What's going on in their chat? Are they getting a lot of hate? Or yeah, so often these live streams, they can go, various ways. A lot of mixed comments, always the case. You always get people in support, people against, but a lot of people that are watching, not commenting, and actually they're the people that often end up going vegan and would message me afterwards, for example. And I'd urge you to do that. Like, you can find me on Instagram at Alex Activism. Please drop me a DM, and if you are genuinely interested about being vegan or have any genuine concerns that you don't want to put on the live stream, like if you don't want to comment because you're afraid of other people replying, please do drop me a message, and I would happily have one-to-one conversation with you, which is what I've done to many other people, like people that would have seen these streams, people who have seen and stuff that I've shown them and spoken about, and they're genuinely curious, and they've messaged me afterwards, and we've had great conversations. A lot of people go vegan and have that support, and genuinely I do say that because I would like to help. And as Dave has just put in the comments, like, there is a resource called Challenge 22 where you can get proper mentoring by almost like experts, like specialists, like nutritionists as well, and you can get the support that you might be looking for. If you're struggling with a particular nutrient, for example, they can give you some really in-depth support with that. So Ryan's put, hello, did your parents feed you meat as a kid? Yeah, so they did. And yeah, I grew up eating animal products. And that's why, well, I think there was a question earlier about like judging others. I think it's more around like judging the workers here, but we always, there's the perception of someone's eating meat and you want to judge them saying, oh, they're a horrible person, but often they don't realize what they're doing. They're thinking, the common questions they often get, we need to eat meat, and you don't realize what actually happens to these animals. But actually, after watching a documentary, I watched a documentary called Earthlings. That is the reality of what happens to these animals. And knowing that it doesn't have to be this way. We know that we can eat plants and be absolutely fine. And Ryan's put, do your parents eat meat? No, they don't anymore, Ryan. So I obviously went vegan and then basically tried to educate them and showed them that actually, this is what we're doing to animals, and now they don't eat meat. And it's a case of education, awareness, and people listening to their hearts and what decisions they want to do. And that's what we're trying to do today. We've got Mel and Steve here and myself, and that's why we're trying to raise awareness of what was happening to these animals. And I can kind of just explain for anyone that might have recently joined. So behind me here, this is Paultons Park, the entrance to Paultons Park, a family-friendly kids theme park where parents, families, kids will all come to Paultons Park. And a lot of people go and see the Peppa Pig World attraction. A lot of kids grow up watching Peppa Pig, love Peppa Pig, and the most disturbing part of this is the fact the entrance to Paultons Park car park is the same adjacent entrance. This direction is a chicken hatchery, a hatchery that breeds chickens, egg-laying hens, to produce 30 times more eggs than they would do naturally, to produce over 300 eggs, and they do that for the egg industry and for the meat industry. So for the egg industry, if they're male chicks that hatch, they separate the males from the females, they separate the males, and they will kill the male chicks on their first day of life. The first day of life, they will be sent to a macerator, like a big blender, or they'll be sent to a gas chamber to be gassed to death. And if it's for the meat industry, they won't even bother sexing the chicks. They won't matter if they're male or female. They'll put them on the same trucks that goes out to farms, and then on those farms they'll stay there for about 5 weeks, and then they will be sent to be killed. They'll be sent to gas chambers. And so the chickens for meat are 42 days old on average. So these chickens are babies. They're 6 weeks old, and they are sent to gas chambers, and that is how they're killed. And the gas, you're saying it's probably okay though, those gas burns you from the inside. The gas makes you, burns your lungs, burns your eyes, suffocates, and you've always got to kind of put yourself in their position, right? Would you like to be tightly crammed onto a crate and lowered into gas where you burn and suffocate to death? So please please do check out the video in my video description. Hit the 3 dots and please do check it out. Check out the 3-minute movie and just seeing things is so powerful. Like, it's all well and good just listening to people talking, but go and watch it for yourself. Nice. Who? Big Joe. Okay. Big up Big Joe. So yeah, Kunal's, but I'm currently cooking soya chunks. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so earlier you're saying about plant-based protein, like soya chunks and other like things like tofu. Yeah, you know, very high in protein and yeah, also vegan. Yeah, soy chunks is brilliant. So yeah, hope you're enjoying the soy chunks. So Alicia's put, Avara Foods includes chicken, turkey and geese with over 1.5 billion in revenue in 2023 alone. So yes, so Avara Foods is the same company that owns this chicken hatchery, and they haven't updated Google Maps. They want to keep it hidden. They want to keep it silent who owns this place, because Avara Foods is the same company that owns the slaughterhouses where the chickens will end up and be killed. Again, Avara Foods in the UK is one of the biggest productions, industries and businesses of the chicken industry, chickens and eggs. So Ryan says, have you been to any Two Sisters sites? Yes, I have. That's interesting. So how do you know about Two Sisters sites? But yes, I have. There's a Two Sisters site down in Devon. And that is a slaughterhouse of where they take the chicks on, and that's where I saw for the first time where the fact that chickens aren't even considered numbers. You know, as I said, it's bad enough that, you know, you can't name chickens. You know, the fact that they're not treated as individuals, they're treated as numbers. But the fact in these slaughterhouses, these chickens are treated as nothing but a weight. So the trucks will come in with these huge crates on, and they'll go onto a big weighing platform. Where's this pub going? They'll go onto a weighing platform, and then they'll go into the facility. They'll then gas the chicks, and then the truck will come back out or go back onto the weighing platform, and they'll just work out the difference. They'll do it by weight to work out how much volume of chickens have been killed. So Ryan's put, I've been to Devon, mate. So, and the other like really disturbing thing about Two Sisters, like it's a huge slaughterhouse, you know, thousands. They take, actually no, it's 1 million chickens a week that they kill at this one facility. 1 million chickens a week, truck after truck after truck going into this site and killing the animals in gas chambers. The disturbing thing is literally opposite, oh, truck coming in. So again, a transportation truck. Yeah, the disturbing thing about the entrance of that slaughterhouse is it's completely right opposite and overlooking these houses. And then the most disturbing thing I think I saw was in the front garden of this house, there's a trampoline where there's obviously kids that are living directly opposite a place that kills 1 million chickens a week. So ex-war, you've just said, Alex, I remember when you confronted them people on the boat. Yeah, I mean, is it the fishermen, the fisher people? Yeah, there was people that went out fishing, and I stood in the port where the fishing boats came in, and yeah, I decided to confront them and just say, you know, how many fish did you kill? You know, imagine it was your dog, and instantly I was met with violence. A guy tried assaulting me, and yeah, there's a video on my Instagram actually. It's one of the latest videos. If you go to my Instagram account, you can see a very short interaction of a very angry fisherman, probably drunk, and yeah, trying to take a swipe at me. Ex-war, I'm not a vegan, but I respected you for that. Well, yeah, well, I mean, I hope it was interesting to watch. You know, it wasn't great trying to have some random guy trying to swing at you, but yeah, I think one of the main things there, I think ex-war, if you were maybe even one of those people saying, oh, you know, you're not going to go and speak to them, or you're going to stay there, and I was like, well, no, I'm happy to speak to people, happy to confront people. You know, I'd always want to make sure I always try and think, what is the most productive thing to do in a situation? I was, yeah. I always think, what's the most productive to do in that situation? like what I was there for originally was to try and capture the fish coming off the boat and to actually see the victims. And because I guess I'm not really used to what goes on fishing boats, but obviously they're all kept in containers, so you couldn't actually see any of the animals. So yeah, instead just tried to speak to some of the fishermen that were coming off the boat. And yeah, the first group, very aggressive, violent, horrible people, to be honest, and probably been drinking all day and think, who's this crazy guy asking about fishing? But the second group that came off obviously tried to take a bit more of a peaceful approach than a confrontational approach. And I gave them, I said, would you mind taking a leaflet? They took it, and someone else actually asked for one. And maybe that was a more productive approach, just to try and not say anything that's going to trigger them too much. But you never know how people are going to react to something you're saying, though. So, some people take words in different ways. Some people might be aggressive, some people will be compassionate. You don't know, but the fact is that obviously if you're going out causing violent actions, you're always got to kind of anticipate that they're going to be violent. They're always going to be violent in other aspects of life. So, if they've been out like battering a fish to death and they're going to come off a boat and someone's challenging that, then they're going to keep that aggression and violence with them. X-War says, you're a nice guy and I respect what you're trying to do, but I don't think there's anything wrong with eating meat. So X-War, have you watched the 3-minute movie challenge, for example, or a longer documentary? Because most people don't realise what's wrong with eating meat until they see what happens to those animals. They don't realise the complete pain and misery that you're paying for with your money. So when you're buying meat products, you're paying, for example, if you're buying pork or sausages, you're paying for a pig to be sent into a gas chamber, to be lowered down, to be burnt from the insides at 6 months of life. If you're paying for chicken products and eggs, you're paying for animals to be sent into gas chambers at 6 weeks old. He says, yes, I've watched it, but I get my meat ethically sourced. So what do you understand is the definition of ethically sourced? Because ethically sourced products don't exist in the context of animals, because you can't exploit someone ethically. You can't humanely enslave them. You can't humanely kill them. And the best way I always put this is, if you were in their position, would you say that that's okay? If you were ethically sourced, ethically put onto a farm, enslaved on a farm, and then sent to a slaughterhouse, is that really ethical when you know that there is a more ethical option of you don't need to do that at all? You don't need to do that at all. You just choose something else to eat. So Yagdor says, hardworking fishermen are evil drunk guys, who knew? So yeah, and just to maybe put this in a bit more context, this isn't fishermen that are going out every day and lining supermarket shelves. These are specifically where the general public are going out on the weekend to do some fun entertainment. They're literally paying to go on like a boat trip to go out and to kill animals for fun and to take them home. I say it's very different. I mean, it's the same as what the fishing industry does, but these are people that are there to have a laugh, get drunk, and basically kill fish. So it's just a sickening sport. And I was trying to make the point that what difference is going out fishing on a boat trip to hunting foxes in the wild? What difference is it to hunting other animals in the wild? So did you put plenty more fish in the sea? And this is the damaging thing, is that the fishing industry, bottom trawlers, are one of the biggest reasons of ocean dead zones, and the fact that now the fish populations are massively decreasing. If you look at the statistics, I think over 90% of the fish populations are dying out, and the coral reefs being lost, the seabed floor that is just being, imagine like a big just bulldozer going through the bottom of the ocean. And scientists predict that by 2050 the fish species in the ocean will have disappeared, and we need that ecosystem. We need lots of fish, lots of different fish species, because the ocean being a carbon sink, 4 times more effective at absorbing carbon than the rainforest, which is also being cut down for animal agriculture. So Canal said, Alex, please come and visit India. Here, dairy products are consumed on a daily basis, saying it's veg, but it's a byproduct, only slaughtering and killing. So I often find in India, people say that cows are sacred and they don't want to eat cows or eat beef. But at the same time, if they're drinking dairy or butter, ghee, things like that, you're paying for the dairy industry. And what that means is you're paying for cows to be killed at between 3 and 5 years of life. So if the cow is sacred, if the cow is holy, if you're trying to respect the cow, you cannot be consuming dairy products because you're paying for them to be killed. And this is something that, yeah, definitely needs to be spoken up about more. And I don't know, what's been spoken up in their own, or in your country, like if there's activists, I'm assuming there are. But yeah, it's a huge topic that, again, it's this cognitive dissonance of you're loving animals, but you're paying for them to be killed. You respect the cow, but you're paying for cows to be killed. It's the same thing, and it's just the awareness and maybe the ignorance to the industries. Hey Matthew, good to see you. So yeah, please do just go and check out the video in the description, and I'd also recommend, if you're in the UK, watch The Land of Hope and Glory. It's about a 40-minute documentary. It's completely free to watch, produced by someone called Ed Winters. And The Land of Hope and Glory shows you the reality across the whole of the UK, what happens on farms. And it just shows you, a lot of undercover footage, and it shows you the reality. There's no opinion versus fact. It's just showing the pure reality of what happens to these animals on camera. And yeah, you can watch The Land of Hope and Glory and see it for yourself. So yeah, any other questions you've got, and it's always something that we want to raise more awareness for, and to try and answer any genuine concerns that you actually have. A lot of comments saying, "Oh, I love meat, I need meat," people are always going to troll with the comments, but the comments that are genuine concerns, like things like, protein, for example, it might be a common misconception about it, and I'm happy to answer those questions. Things like B12 and omegas, like I don't blame people for thinking the ways that they do and thinking we need to get these nutrients from like animal sources, because the industries have done such a good job at marketing that. It's the whole Got Milk campaign, and people saying that you need milk to grow your bones big and strong, when it's just not true. You don't need milk after infancy. You're a grown adult. You don't need to be drinking the breast milk of a cow. You get calcium from plant-based foods. Kale, great source of calcium. What do you think about eating bugs? Obviously not. You don't need to exploit animals at all. Why on earth would you want to eat bugs? Right. So I'm just going to see if there's anything else going on at the front. So again, we've got Mel and stuff here. They're live streaming at the moment. Please do check them out. So yeah, these are the gates of the hatchery, where there's been a few trucks going in and out, transporting the animals. And yeah, and this is the entrance to Paultons Park. So it just shows you how close the family theme park is next to the entrance of a place that literally kills and breeds chickens for consumption and for eggs.
I would have not wanted to take a risk. I would have gone vegan immediately, just in case.
So Ryan, I think you've been asking questions about cars. Yep, what's the problem? We should be eating mosquitoes, said Sports Car. Yeah, and as Matthew said, balance whole foods, all your fruit and legumes. The British Dietetic Association, the American Dietetic Association have shown throughout all forms of life, from infancy to adulthood to old age, you can thrive and survive on a plant-based diet. And people trying to, again, to Ryan's comment, you're talking about distractions here. You're saying, oh, but you drove in a car, or oh, you crushed a bug with your windscreen or something. We're talking about the animals that are being paid for food, for clothing, for entertainment on a mass scale. And for me, as an activist, you know, cars are essential to speak up for these animals, to get to these places, to expose them, because that value has so much benefit for the animals. The fact that we can come to these locations and go to slaughterhouses and go to farms and expose that causes thousands and thousands of people to go vegan. Many activists do that, and the benefit to the animals is absolutely huge. And yeah, and again, so Ryan, like another comment about your point of cars is, where's like the alternatives, right? What's the alternative solutions? And when we're thinking of the principle of veganism is we're trying to stop exploiting animals and harming animals as far as practically possible. So when we're talking about food, we have an easy solution of just eat plants. With clothing, we have an easy solution of don't buy wool, don't buy fur, you've got other products. Same with entertainment, there's so many other things that you can do. You know, cars, what's the solution for us to get to these places to expose them? Because without them, we have legs pain. So we're gonna, you know, spend weeks and weeks and weeks walking to these places to try and expose all of the animals when, you know, there's value in that. There's value in the cars. And every time I drive my car, I am not killing an animal. I'm not causing an animal to suffer. I'm not causing an animal to die.
I've seen your comments going in actually for ages. So we may be annoying, but not them. Why is that?
So yeah, Jan's put the Beyond Burger tastes fantastic. Yeah, Beyond Meat, Impossible Foods. There's so many good brands that taste, you know, the same good taste that you know, things like burgers tasted. You can get the same food taste without paying for animals to die.
Rene says, imagine if someone made laughable excuses with you and it to all the stubborn non-vegans. Yeah, like it's one of the things that always gets me, Rene, like is the laughable comments, the mocking of the animals, right? Like the non-vegans, I understand when you phone them because you potentially never come across animal rights vegans before, or like a message from animal rights activists.
Can't just push one thing, surely a vegan is a vegan. Yeah, a vegan is a vegan. A vegan is someone that lives in alignment with their values, right? Someone that doesn't want to pay for animals to be slaughtered, to be used for clothing and for entertainment. So why are you not answering me? So there's lots of questions. So don't use cars. So yeah, I'm saying that there's a necessity for using cars, right? There's a necessity there. It's not picking and choosing. It's not picking and choosing. There's a necessity for cars to come to these places to expose it for the animals. We have a necessity to do that. As I said, every time I get in my car, I'm not killing an animal directly. I'm not paying for that to happen. It's not a direct causal link like buying meat and dairy products. Oh, there's a truck coming out. So this was a truck that came in earlier. Lambert Brothers. This could be... So Steve's just having a chat with them out the front now. I wonder what, yeah, he's just going to chat to him and see what's going on. So hopefully once Steve's chat to them, we might see what he says. Oh, and another one coming straight out. Oh, that's another, yeah, look at the speed he's coming out. So fast.
There's animals in there, like he's driving like an absolute
Fucking hell.
idiot.
Dangerous driving. Such dangerous driving.
Fuel point mission, that was, wasn't it? guy who had no part of the violence was just like chilled, had a chat.
Yeah,
The
just
guy
shows
who
you.
literally knew he had animals on there,
Knew the.
really driving out.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah. You could just tell the difference there. Like, obviously trying to squeeze in behind that other truck and just absolutely floor it out. You know, the rear's almost hitting the driveway, and there's baby animals in that truck. There's baby animals in that truck that are only a day or two old, and they're going to farms. And yeah, they just want it out of the sight of the public. They want it out of mind because they don't want to expose what's happening. So, come on, what other questions have you got? You know, this is your chance to speak to a vegan, to speak to an animal rights activist. This is your chance to get your points across. And the fact that I'm trying to get Mel and Steve to say hi to you from me. That's funny. Someone else did that earlier, actually. I was like, oh, hi. Yeah, so we've got Mel and Steve here. Please go and subscribe to them. It's Mel and Steve. They're brilliant activists. And yeah, helping us expose this facility today. It's a chicken hatchery. And yeah, we want to expose this place. We'll be coming here far, far more often, and other places like it. And we're exposing these industries, the chicken hatching industry, where chickens are forced to lay over 300 eggs a year, 30 times their natural amount. The eggs are then taken to artificial incubators. If those chickens hatch and they're male, they're sent to gas chambers and are macerated and killed in their first or second day of life. And if they're for the meat industry, the chicks are sent on those trucks, that truck that just sped out of the driveway, the trucks that just sped out, they are then, what's this truck doing? This truck coming in. RC Collard. Okay. So once the chicks go out on those transportation trucks, the ones that tried coming steaming through here, they take to farms, and those chickens will be in those farms for about 5 weeks, 6 weeks. Those chicks are then taken to a slaughterhouse at 6 weeks old, 42 days old. They are lowered in CO2 gas chambers and suffocate to death.
His job role was to put them in the crates, and he said that
And the fact is, again, we're at Paultons Park. We're outside a family theme park. People are going in there to go and see Peppa Pig World. All these, you know, families and young kids are going to see their idol, Peppa Pig. If they knew what happened to Peppa Pig would happen in reality, that Peppa Pig would be sent into a gas chamber and forced to be killed at 6 months of life. So End Baking, what are you protesting against? So today we're here outside a chicken hatchery, literally opposite a family theme park. This is a hatchery where male chicks are killed on their first day of life. But we're protesting about, well, we're not even protesting, we're raising awareness to the viewers, to people walking past, whoever it might be, to give a presence and a pressure on these facilities to show that these facilities should not exist. These facilities exploit animals, they take their babies, they kill them if they're male, they send them to farms, and they're ultimately sent to slaughterhouses. And that's just the chicken and just the egg industry. We're also speaking up for all the other animal exploitations that happen in the world. The animals, for example, in the entertainment industry. We're talking about horse racing, greyhound racing. These animals that are bred to be raced and then killed at a fraction of their life. We're also talking about animals used for clothing, you know, things like wool, for fur, that you just don't need to purchase. Even mentioned a bit on things like animal experiments and animal testing. Again, we don't need to be doing this. We have human-related solutions. But also talking about the other animals oppressed in our animal agriculture and our food system. The fact that we know that we don't need to consume animals to live. We have plant-based alternatives and we have plant-based foods. We know that we don't need to consume animals. We don't need to pay for animals to be sent into gas chambers. If they're pigs, they're sent to gas chambers at 6 months old. If they're lambs, sheep, they're 6 months old, they're sent to slaughterhouses. They're likely to be electrically stunned and then have their throats sliced. If they're cows in the beef industry, they'll be 1 to 2 years old. They'll go into a knockbox in a slaughterhouse and they'll be bolt gunned to the head, in theory, rendering them unconscious. However, we know that doesn't work. We know that we've had exposés that show that some cows take 3, 4, multiple bolt guns to try and stun them. Or they don't bother, they'll try and render them unconscious, they'll give up, and then either way, they'll then have their throats sliced open. And that is the same inevitable thing for the dairy industry. The dairy cows are 3 to 5 years old. And when they're sent to those same knock boxes where they'll allegedly be stunned and then have their throat sliced to be killed. And that's the dairy industry. They will then be sold for cheap meat. So whether it's for chickens, for pigs, for cows, you don't have to pay for these animals to be killed brutally in slaughterhouses. And you can see this footage for yourself. Go to the video description, hit the 3 dots, go to the description, and go to 3minutes.wtf, the link there. You can see everything that happens to animals in just 3 minutes. And you'll see the truth for yourself. And realize, like activists like myself, when we've got, you know, Matthew on the chat, we've got that Chip guy on the chat, brilliant activists, go and check them out. And Mel and Steve like this today, and we're all here to raise awareness of these industries and to show you that obviously we don't need to pay for animals to be killed. We don't need to pay for them to be exploited, enslaved, encaged. We don't need to pay for any of this. We can live with our morals, you know, a nation of dog lovers, a nation of animal lovers. We don't need to pay for all of the other species to be sent into slaughterhouses, into gas chambers, raced to death, tortured in labs. We don't need to pay for any of that. You can be kind, you can be compassionate. You can use Google, use ChatGPT, use Challenge 22. Reach out to me directly, drop me a message at alex.activism on Instagram. Subscribe to this channel, and I'll be doing lots more live streams outside slaughterhouses, which I regularly do. But also I go to farms and other facilities and also speak to people on the streets. Mel and Steve, stop bullying that poor guy right now. Okay, what are Mel and Steve up to? I did notice they've just walked off. Dare I see what's going on? Oh, it's the... So, maybe the skip guy. So, most likely they're, say, questioning there. And I said, any comments that are just gonna spam, you're gonna get timed out. So Aaron said, I was a vegan, then I got really ill from a lack of vitamins. So what was it, Aaron, that you weren't getting? What vitamins were you not getting? Because we know, the science shows us that you get all of the vitamins, all your essential amino acids and minerals from a plant-based diet. We know that we don't need to pay for these to happen. And again, look at the American Dietetic Association, the British Dietetic Association. That Chip guy's put loads of references in this chat. And you know, you can check out these resources. Go to things like Challenge 22. Watch documentaries, go and watch What the Health on Netflix. There's lots of free documentaries that you can go and check out. So someone said, what is vegan? Veganism is a principle. Firstly, it's not a diet. There is a diet that is part of veganism. Veganism is a principle that we should live without exploiting animals. We don't view animals as commodities, and we don't view animals as how can we benefit from them. Part of that, therefore, is diet. We'd eat a plant-based diet. We eat products that don't consume animals. Part of that is we don't wear products that consume or use animals. We don't test on animals. And we don't pay for entertainment of animals. So yeah, check out Challenge 22. Please do double tap the screen as well. If you can like this video, it gets shown to way more people. And please do subscribe to the channel, and you can see more of this stuff, and you can come and debate me again and see what's going on, where I might be next time. Because yeah, there's always new places that we're exploring, whether it's on my own, whether it's with other activists like Mel and Steve here today. We're here to expose all of this to the public, and yeah, urge you to, yeah, please subscribe to myself, but subscribe to Mel and Steve, subscribe to that Chip guy. Does loads of street debates, that Chip guy. You can see he's just posted in the chat. Go and check out his channel, and has really good, meaningful conversations about veganism to people on the street, and also very well knowledged from a nutritional perspective. So yeah, check out that Chip guy. He's also on Instagram. So yeah, drop him questions as well. And like, bots, you're just gonna get timed out. I don't know why you bother. Yeah, that Chip guy is an awesome guy. Please check him out. So yeah, a message that just we'll keep reiterating is, if you have kindness in your heart, if you have compassion, be kind to others. If you have, pet animals that you care and love for, Your dog is no different to a pig, but the pig is going to be put into a gas chamber because of the sake of a sandwich. You don't need to be paying for any exploitation to animals. So if you have kindness in your heart, please check out the videos in the video description or on my link tree. It's a 3-minute movie, or you can watch a longer documentary and see the truth for yourself. And that's what changed me. That's what made me open my eyes to realize that that's the reality we're with, and that you can change. You have the ability to change. So please, as I said, subscribe, like, and follow the activists that I've mentioned, and yeah, be vegan and know that that is the only kind option. But thank you for tuning in, and yeah, catch me on another stream very, very soon. Mel and Steve have just wrapped up.
Yeah, subscribe, guys.
Subscribe
Right
to
now,
Alex.
double tap
the
subscribe, like.
subscribe.
Alex is an awesome activist.
Yes.
Join his live streams, watch Dominion.
Chips
I love
straight in.
chips in it.
Yes. Guys, we wouldn't have been able to come here today and expose this if it wasn't for Alex. This guy's a legend. His dedication to the animals is literally second to none. You should subscribe and support him in everything he does. Every video that goes up, like, share, comment, because it helps the algorithm. Tell your friends to follow as well.
Yeah, Alex is like a hidden ninja in
Yeah.
this industry for the animals. He is epic. So you definitely want to subscribe right now.
Too kind, but yeah, as I've
back
said,
to
no,
Alex in the
as I've said many back to me in the studio. As I've said many times, please do check out Mel and Steve. They are brilliant activists, as I've mentioned all the time. Like they go and do investigations. They go outside slaughterhouses for so many days in a week. They go into farms. They go and expose things, and they also show the public and speak to the public on the streets about what happened. So check out Mel and Steve, and also that chip guy. We've got Alicia in the chat, Matthew's in the chat. Please do subscribe to these awesome activists. Drop them questions, because we're here to help, we're here to inspire, and ultimately we should all be vegan for the animals and share that kindness through other animals on this planet. So yeah, thank you. Please do subscribe, and see you on the next one.